just like I haven't been able to think straight.
QB7 in the draft. You got your guy. I saw a post that said Saints got their guy. And it was just Spencer Rattler.
In the third round, that's value.
For me, though, it's not like
what
a
round?
bad pick.
Third round.
Fifth
No, I'm saying like
mid-fifth.
What are you
Mid-fifth
losing? Mid-fifth round,
We're losing team camaraderie. Just like any.
I mean, I don't think he's good, but I just think like
No, he's terrible, and he's also just a terrible person. Like
I don't know.
nothing about him is like.
He is a bad person. Good evening, degenerates, and welcome back to another episode of Degen Hours. We had the NFL draft last week. Absolutely electric. We sweat out the entire draft live. And what's going on? Everyone okay?
I don't know what Michael just did.
What do you do? I wasn't able to see it. I'm
He
trying
like
to.
turned around and went like back. Or
No,
like,
he said welcome back and, back.
Oh my god.
He went. Okay.
But he went like,
I still.
And then he said
Can't
draft,
get
so
through a
I was
single
like, damn,
intro.
that was
We
pretty
are
good.
what is it? It's been 8 months, 9 months in
Yeah.
to the podcast. I still have yet to get through one intro.
That's not
so we
true.
will. One of these days I'll get there, guys.
one
Don't
there.
worry.
One day Tyler's gonna get there from
One of these
got
days
there.
I will get through there.
got
through
there.
the intro.
Congratulations.
But
You
yeah,
got there.
we had the draft. A whole lot happened. We're gonna break everything down right now. We gave you our pre-draft episodes. We're actually really sharp
Yeah,
at the
we
beginning of the draft,
sniped
like
almost
unbelievably
everything.
sharp to how the draft started. So I want to dive in, go over the entire first round, talk about best teams, best draft, predictions for next season. We're covering it all.
Predictions.
Let's get into the madness.
Madness.
So the draft happened, and I was
yeah,
going to
it
start
happened.
at the top of the draft, but we can't start there.
No, we can't.
We can't start
It
at
would
pick
be
1.
rude.
We have to start at
Caleb
pick 8.
sucks.
We have to start at pick 8. Well, we'll talk about Caleb and everything, but the biggest surprise of the draft, if you haven't been living under a rock, the Falcons stayed at their 8th overall pick and just went for it. They just shot from the hip. Michael Penix Jr. selected 8th overall, ahead of J.J. McCarthy, quarterback 4, 8 overall. I mean, he was mocked in the second round.
That's ridiculous.
and I had him number 9 on my top 10 list.
You were sharp with that. I mean,
was
you
a
could
snipe.
believe what you want. That was a reach. I mean, they could have traded down
Yeah.
and got him, but they just said, F it. Michael Penix Jr., you are an Atlanta Falcon, regardless of the fact that they gave Kirk Cousins $180 million. For 100 of that guaranteed, 50 at signing.
And zero notice.
Well, yeah, and the notice thing, I don't know how much they need to they just
telling.
gave him
Yeah, all right,
100
fair
million,
enough,
180
fair
million. I don't
The
know if you
media
know,
needed something to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Fair
Kirk
enough.
was pissed though.
we got to start. We got to start with this pick. I mean, wow. I mean, our reaction was just shock, like pure shock, as everyone else.
I mean, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta go check, like, actual shock. You gotta go check out the short. Like,
Oh yeah,
everyone's
you
just
can
like,
see us live. That was ridiculous.
We were watching it live, and I didn't believe it. I thought it was a typo. I was like, what are they doing? They have a quarterback for 4 years signed, guaranteed.
Which is a long time for a quarterback.
Mario, what
like
did...
a good quarterback.
Yeah,
too.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, what were your thoughts, I mean, I guess initially, and then, you've had a few days now
Yeah.
to kind of process it. How do you feel about this pick? This was obviously the biggest topic of the draft.
Yeah, it was when it initially happened. Actually, if editor Mike can throw up the clip from last week, Mike said at pick 8, Byron Murphy would be selected.
Because I don't think there's going to be much... I mean, Falcons at 8,
You're not gonna move.
No, that's my boy. That's where Byron
That's your
Murphy's
boy?
going. Byron Murphy at 8.
Jesus Christ.
At the
They
8th
need-
pick,
8th pick in the NFL
I'll
draft.
bet you any amount of money Byron Murphy doesn't go with 8th.
He made a deal with Ryan.
$50 bet.
Also made a deal with me,
you guys laid 5-1.
which actually Mike, by the way, to our viewers, has not paid me for.
I paid
has he-
Ryan.
You-
I paid
Okay,
Ryan.
bet-
I
Yeah,
Venmo
that's
okay.
requested Mike couldn't come through with the $50 bet. It's okay though.
No,
no, it's okay.
Come on.
Bring it up.
Hasn't been paid.
Close enough.
Hasn't been.
Bring it up in the meeting.
Maybe it won't be paid.
But no, so that pick, when I was watching it, I was like, all right, I just have to fade Byron Murphy to get $50. So when the second they started saying Michael, it just wasn't Byron. So I was happy. I was like, oh yes, $50. And then it took a few seconds, and I was like, holy f***, they drafted Michael Penix. And I was like, they just paid Kirk Cousins all this money. What the hell are they doing?
Kirko.
Even a few days after, I'm still confused. I think unless they have a plan that they're gonna start Michael Penix in 3 years, then
Yeah, 2-3 years, yeah.
then I guess because Kirk's, unless he gets hurt, knock on wood, I don't want that.
He hasn't played
never
since his
hope.
injury,
Yeah,
so you
no.
never know.
So you never know. But I assume Kirk Cousins is going to be similar to what we know, and I don't see Michael Penix being better than that right off the bat. He's going to need a lot of reps. So interesting pick. I thought they could have, if they really wanted him, they could have drafted someone at 8, traded like a second and third round pick for like around where the Cowboys were, because they were like all those teams were like super open to just trading back. The Bills did it.
Jaguars did it.
Jags did it. Cowboys traded down a few picks. Like if you really wanted him, I felt like you could have sniped him around there. Had best of both worlds. They just said screw it, 8th pick, Michael Penix. It was. I mean, I still am a little shocked. So
I still can't believe they did that. I don't actually hate it as much as everyone else.
I like him.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I don't mind it for like the development aspect. Just as like a pure like college guy going into the NFL, you usually see rookies do better if they have a true veteran quarterback who's like, winning and they've proven themselves, and then you can get a year or two to learn.
Yeah.
Granted, the asterisk with that is that Michael Penix is 24 years old. So like he's a grown ass man and there's not much like to develop. But I don't know. I mean, I don't hate it as much for that reason, but like the pure value in their drafting spot, it seems like they threw away the
negative value.
Yeah,
no,
I mean it was the worst choice.
There's a couple ways I was looking at that. I think in their minds they probably thought the Raiders were going to take him at 13. That's the only logic I thought. It was like maybe they were obsessed with Michael Penix. They were like, this is the best quarterback, second best quarterback in the draft.
Not going to make it.
And
later.
they think, Vikings are doing their thing at like the 11 spot. They moved to 10 to obviously get JJ. Mm-hmm. And they were sold that Sean Payton was going Bo Nix at 12 no matter what. And then the last quarterback left until, 5th round, Spencer Rattler is going to be Penix, and then the Raiders are going to take him at 13. So that's the only way I got my mind around why they would actually stay at 8 and take him.
Yeah.
I like it for one reason, and that's just because I think this is them saying they know they aren't contenders with Kirk. I think they think that Kirk can get them, maybe win the division.
Yeah.
It's a weaker division. But I still don't believe that they think they can take down, the Lions or the 49ers.
The Eagles.
Or even the Eagles and stuff. Like, they know they don't have enough pieces. So I think the smart thing to do would have been to go get Dallas Turner or even trade back and take Dallas Turner or go get, like, a line. Something to, actually bolster their team for the short term.
Like a weakness.
But in my mind, this might be a longer term bet by them saying like, hey, look, this is a bad pick now, we get it, but we're gonna let Penix sit for 3 full years under a veteran. We'll get to the playoffs, we'll win a division, maybe see what we can do in the playoffs, and then see if we can turn this Penix project into Jordan Love. And then that way, in 3-4 years, you have a polished, 27, 28-year-old quarterback. You can re-sign him. His value is not going to be the most insane thing ever because he's never played. So people aren't going to want to overpay a bunch for a 27, 28-year-old. So it's not like you're going to have to pay him a max contract after his rookie deal.
Yeah.
And then, see what you can do. See if you can get a Jordan Love like the way you turned around the Packers. That was the only reason I rationalized it, but it was still crazy to me.
This is the worst pick. I mean, it was the second worst pick in the draft. I'm going to save my worst pick for later on. But this is ridiculous. The fact that, I've never heard of a starting quarterback having his first start at the age of 27. And that's if things go wrong with Kirk Cousins or something. Most likely, if Kirk Cousins does his normal self, he'll play the 4 years and be a starter all 4 years. And Michael Penix will come in at 28, going to 29th year, which is absurd. And this is a top 10 pick in the draft, which is you get generational talent with those top 10 picks.
Yeah.
Especially the ones this one time in the history of drafts where defensive ends were not taken in 2, 3, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Could have got him at 8. Dallas Turner is a good one. I mean, Byron Murphy, I thought it was reach, but that's still he's apparently a stud and everything good, whatever you wanted to pick. I think this was a joke of a pick. I have no understanding of picking it. What the Jets did with Jordan Travis is perfect. You get it way late. You're not wasting anything with the late 5th round, pick, and you get a good player that was almost Heisman favorite to first 8 weeks.
Would
of
have
the
been
year.
a top 2 round pick
So
if
I'm
he didn't
saying-
get hurt. Yeah.
Oh, well, I
100%.
was just gonna say he's a lot more injury prone, so that is the
But
reason.
Michael
why-
Penix?
Penix has been,
I mean,
I think Penix is the most injury
Well,
prone
so
quarterback.
injury-
but I mean, in
injury
terms
prone's
of
different
significant.
injury prone is different than current injury profile because Jordan Travis legitimately snapped his leg, like Alex Smith snapped his leg, and so he
It's a
might
harder
not,
comeback.
he might not actually play quarterback again. There's
That's
a
kind of
decent
what I'm
chance.
saying. It's like
But
the
no, Penix-
significance of the
Penix
injury.
has hurt both of his ACLs, got injured 4 times in his college
every
career.
single year.
Yeah.
That's the reason it took so long when he got hurt at I think it was Indiana.
Yeah.
When he was
Indiana.
there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the bigger injury to come back from than Jordan Travis, but injury prone.
Penix is injury
Penix
prone.
is very injury prone. I mean, he's a winner. I understand. The 8th pick is a joke to me. I mean, as a whole, I thought quarterbacks getting picked this early was weird this year. I think 8 for Falcons is just absolutely crazy. The amount of
After they paid Kirk, it just makes no sense.
significant
Yeah,
players you could have got there too. There was every single you could have got like a double tight end if you liked Browers. You could have got Fashanu as the second best offensive lineman. You could have got one of the Dallas Turners.
Yeah,
you
bolstered
could
your defense.
I mean, there's
You
a
also could have
million.
gotten wide receiver.
Could have went back
They
on-
only have really.
Yeah, you could have got
Drake
back.
London.
You could have got wide receiver.
yeah.
You could have went back and got a cornerback, Nate Wiggins or whoever, Quignon. Like it didn't matter. Like
Go grab 3 draft picks, trade back.
and there was so many
Yeah.
ways you could use this pick with their future they have, how young they are. I think they completely wasted it. For
Yeah,
now.
tape.
No, I mean, it really just seemed like the Falcons just clicked the panic button at 8. And I don't know, maybe something went unexpectedly before, but it just seemed like they didn't know what to do. I don't mind the move actually drafting Michael Penix, but I think like what we've all said is the value at the 8th pick in the draft.
It's negative.
Is
You can't do it
it's
there.
negative. So they must have had no other options or
They must have
tried-
legitimately, what Tyler said, thought like he was gonna go to the Raiders.
Yeah.
And
Which
they
is-
couldn't
So
get
you,
that.
but then you think he's Patrick Mahomes.
Which
Like,
is-
I'll wait any amount of time for him to play.
Well, but my rationale is also sorry. My rationale is also like teams go into a draft with, let's say, 4 or 5 different needs for their team. It's not all just get a quarterback,
They didn't
and
need a
it's
quarterback,
like
yeah.
They didn't need.
they didn't even need it. That wasn't even one of their listed needs.
mean, you
but
can
it's also
always
like,
get a
Kirk
quarterback,
Cousins
you know
is
what?
That's the saying.
high.
Also, the thing about them panicking is kind of crazy because the first 7 picks were pretty chalk. I mean, the first 6
yeah.
were literally chalk, where there's Caleb, Jaden Daniels, Drake
Yeah.
May, Marvin
JC
Harrison,
Latham
Joe
was
Alt,
great.
Malik
No, but-
Davis.
but
Well,
they
I
could-
mean, we all knew Titans were going line. We didn't know if it was, JC
Fashanu
Latham or
or-
Fashanu or Fatanu, the guard, or whatever. Like, but we knew
Nothing
that
was
that was
surprising.
penciled
It
in.
could have been panic that no one was calling them for their pick.
Like to trade.
Yeah, nobody like hit the
Yeah,
phone.
no, like they hit the panic button for some reason, like because
getting the-
clearly there is no value in Michael Penix at 8.
Getting the 4th best quarterback at 8. Or maybe
No,
not
it is-
best, but
it's wild.
4th
I mean-
quarterback in the draft is crazy.
But
Yeah,
the
but-
the weird thing is I like the actual pick itself is not crazy because I think we've kind of seen what happened with I'm not saying Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, but like Jordan Love, right?
Well, that's clearly the model they're going after.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's like,
First
that's,
round draft pick and sit them for 3 years.
Yeah.
That's exactly what the Packers
which is
did.
Well,
weird.
the success
but I
rate
don't
of
know.
quarterbacks when they do sit a year is significantly better
Yeah.
than the quarterbacks that get thrown in right away. Like, Trevor Lawrence, Bryce Young get thrown in like rookie year, just like
torn up.
they had no chance. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and then even Patrick Mahomes got to sit behind Alex Smith. Like, as
Even-
long as you get to sit
even-
behind a
but
pro
and even
for a
like
year,
Joe Burrow just got rocked.
Well, he just got.
but he got
sacked
hurt
Yeah.
early,
million
and that
times.
kind of
Well,
helped.
that's
him.
what I mean though.
He kind of, in a way, sat his rookie year because he got hurt week 5. You know?
yeah.
I don't know.
No,
So-
no, it was a crazy pick.
It is a
But
crazy
pick.
Like I said, those first 6 picks went exactly how we
Yeah, no
mocked
surprises,
pre-draft. And actually, the 7th pick, J.C. Latham, was kind of a reach. But
I
we
didn't see
also, on the podcast, all kind of agreed the Titans were selecting a lineman no matter what and not trading out the pick. So we kind of nailed the first 7 picks of the draft. And
I have
then-
a quick question on that.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why you think that his name wasn't brought up, at least amongst our panel of like, we were always talking Fatanu, Fashanu, and Joe Alt, but never JC Latham? Like, why is
Well,
that?
I
Why
think
do
it's
you
when
think
they
that?
He was also the 5th ranked tackle.
So you
on
think they
the
just
pre-draft
reached and they
board.
messed up?
Well, I see. That's the thing. Also,
If
that
you like your guy, you
I
get
don't
him.
think it's necessarily a reach because we're only seeing the Mel Kiper and all that, and like
Yeah.
often those things don't play out perfectly. So teams do all their own research and stuff. So their draft boards could look completely different.
Yeah.
We were just kind of looking at the top of the tackle boards and going like, all right, here's the first 3 tackles. They'll probably take one of these.
Also,
guys.
some guys just go, Bama, check. He's going to be good. Like,
Yeah.
the pros. Like, it's that good of a success rate that, like, Bama offensive line, if they're being drafted in the first round, most likely is going to pan out.
Yeah.
Shame that like Georgia as of lately.
No.
Interesting.
And
Exactly.
teams, and like Tyler said, teams all have their own different needs. Like, you could have 2 linemen, to the left and right of him that maybe like are really good sliding left, and he had the best like in drills like sliding
there's a
left or
million.
something. You know what I mean? Like, okay, like we're gonna take him. He fits our O line.
Yeah.
It's team specific. It's not like Tyler said. It's not just like, oh yeah, like these are
Plug
the
and
5
play.
best. These
Yeah.
are the best receivers. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3. Like, oh, like a team might like a
Yeah.
Doomsday
Yeah.
fit for their team more than like.
And that's also, I mean,
Fair.
we're going to talk about teams' draft grades and how we think each team did after we go through the first round. But it's also one reason why, teams might get slightly lower or different draft grades, or some teams' draft grades might look amazing. But those are all based off of, the Mel Kiper mock drafts initially.
ESPN.
These teams all have their
CBS,
completely separate drafts. There could be a team that's like, dude, we got 3 of the top 40 players on our team. This is on our draft board. This is the best draft we ever had.
Yeah.
And you can look at it compared to Mel Kiper's, and he has these guys
As
way
a
in the
D.
middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing. So at 9, then after we get Penix to 8, the Bears, after drafting Caleb, go ahead and get Romo Dunze to pair up with him, really bolstering that offensive, repertoire that the Bears have. How do we feel about how the Bears draft? I guess it was pretty chalk, but I mean, they have to be happy with what they're letting Caleb walk into.
Guys, I know I just said it was the second worst pick in the whole draft. Romo Dunze at 9, in my opinion, was the worst pick in the entire draft.
Wow.
And it wasn't close for me. I think most people going into this year, I liked it a lot, had their wide receiver duo already top 5 before anyone's thrown the ball already.
DJ Moore and
Keenan Allen. I love them a lot. I think bringing Romo Dunze in there does literally nothing to their team. It might,
he's the deep ball guy.
but the deep ball, he might be like Jameson Williams in his first year, where he just runs a lot of deep routes, gets 1 catch a game. I think the amount of players at 9 that were available, including like adding Brock or a defensive lineman that was insane, or off Fashwanu or anything, would bolster their team in every way. I mean, I just don't see at all how Romo Dunze helps the team. Besides, maybe you're a deep ball, and maybe DJ Moore is not old. Keenan Allen you can call old. He probably still has 3 years. They have Komet already, who's an amazing wide receiver tight end, not even just a blocker. They have they just got Swift. Like I think
for them, the reason why I don't think it's a bad pick is just because you only have Keenan on 1 year. Granted, you can re-sign him for extend him, but he's an aging wide receiver versus you bring in a fresh dude on a rookie contract that you're gonna have for 4 years, and you can develop him with your rookie quarterback. I also get it. For this year, yes, it's a lot of bodies that you're gonna have to spread the ball a lot because Keenan, he's the vet. DJ Moore, they're both proven. One's a rookie, but honestly, realistically, Keenan Allen probably won't be on the team next year. So you're gonna have DJ Moore, Roma Dunze for Caleb.
And
I don't think it's the worst thing.
And picture the fact that now Romo Dunze has, the advice and actual to look up to.
Yeah, he
Keenan
pretty much
Allen.
gets to learn.
He gets to learn from one of the best in the game for a year.
Yeah, and I in a way agree with what Ryan's saying. I think it's better to get a rookie quarterback unless they're in love with their O-line, which I'm not necessarily in love with at all.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the biggest problem.
I think
Joe Burrow.
I think Fashwanu's probably the pick there.
Yeah.
Because you already have receivers.
I agree. He's probably
and
Fashwanu's a
also
better pick.
Keenan's gone next year. How hard is it to draft a rookie
Another
receiver in the next
receiver
draft or go pick one up?
Kind of seemed like a fan pick.
Well, I think exactly. I think Caleb was telling them he wanted Romo Dunze because they were posting pictures together on their airplanes. They were hanging out at the combine. They were doing all this stuff. I think he was very vocal about it, and it sounded to me like he was like what Mario said. I think Keenan's probably not going to be there for that much longer, especially not for the entirety of Caleb's rookie deal, and they'll probably plan on re-signing Caleb unless something crazy happens. Mm-hmm. So he's going to be their quarterback that they're going to kind of build their team around. And it sounds to me like they're like, hey, we're taking you at 1. Who do you want at 9? Yeah. And he kind of just handpicked the receiver.
Yeah, the thing I saw about that though, because a lot of people, and I agree, that I think they should have gone O-line because look at any Bears quarterback. The last 5 years, they're literally running for their lives.
Also,
I just don't think it's the worst pick that they made. I get it. For offense, the thing though, I saw a lot on Twitter and stuff look at Joe Burrow. He told the Bengals go get Jamar Chase. The difference though, in that is that they at least played together in college and had chemistry. Roma Dunze and Caleb, they're gonna be starting fresh. So I don't think always listening to your rookie quarterback, who hasn't played. At least Joe Burrow picked Jamar Chase. You saw him for 5 games and you saw what he looked like as a pro. Caleb hasn't stepped on the field, and if you're letting him be GM in the first round, I don't know. I thought they should have gone O-line, just be smarter, take care of your prized possession that you want to build around.
Look at the number one picks that just get murdered every single year they first step in.
Yeah, it's
always because their offensive line sucks. And the worst thing for me is that they got I understand it if it was average the position in the drafts. You could have got the tackle 2, any defensive end 1, a cornerback 1, traded back for picks. You got wide receiver 3 as the 9th pick.
Yeah.
It was just, for me, I was just the amount of positions that could have been filled, and you could have got an equivalent wide receiver next year on free agency anything you needed.
Or traded back the pick.
Exactly. There was so many other ways. I thought this was just unbelievably wasted. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I do say becomes your guys' Caleb Williams 1 and 2 as they develop. I don't know. Go ahead, Mike.
Quickly, putting on my Caleb Williams hater hat.
He's clocking in.
Oh yeah, clocking in for business.
Once a day, you gotta open the Michael hate list.
No,
pick
so
one.
I think this is gonna be
Is he
one
on
of
the
those.
hate list?
Caleb Williams.
Yes.
Oh, he's far. He's high up
he's
there.
high. He's
Yeah.
top
Top 5.
Yeah, come on, we've
Right
been
below
over this.
Shedeur.
Come on, keep up, please. But but yeah, I think this is gonna be really, really bad for his career. In like 2-3 years when he's losing this first contract and he may be moving other places. The reason why is because I think teams are gonna look and talk to GMs and be like, "Hey, Caleb was so vocal about selfishly wanting X player instead of." Putting aside his desire for bolstered stats and instead just helping the team as a whole, getting an O-lineman, someone who isn't as flashy, someone who won't bring as much media attention. And I think, hopefully, by that point, he'll
Two
be getting an
things.
XFL
2
contract
things.
and out
One,
of the NFL.
quarterbacks do that like crazy. Stroud did that. Burrow did that.
No,
people do
but, okay, but they have a reason to. They're in a high enough caliber.
I mean,
They
the
deserve
number
it.
1 pick.
They deserve
Stroud
it.
was the number 1. Also, that's an opinion. We're just
We
guessing
don't know
about
that
something.
he said that.
No,
It could have been 100. They could have loved Roma Dunze.
No,
Like,
no,
simply.
sure.
They could have always been going like
I know
best
Caleb.
receiver
I
available
know
and Caleb
Caleb.
Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know
we'll
Caleb.
see.
That's the type of shit that guy would say.
All right, and
You know
That's the
Caleb.
that's
said,
the
"I
type
know
of
Caleb."
shit.
No, Mike knows
That's the
Caleb.
type of
Mike
shit
knows
that guy would
him.
say.
Mike knows Caleb.
No,
But he
he's-
hates him.
No,
He's-
Mike knows him, but he hates
I heard
him.
they
No.
hung around around the same clubs in West.
that-
Virginia.
that little bit.
They hung around a lot. Of
They
the
hang
same
around the
crowds.
gymnasium.
They
I
did,
hear.
They hung around the same crowds. Yeah, they were hanging around.
Mike
That
was,
bitch has
Um,
never seen a
The
gymnasium.
Vikings. Caleb's never worked out.
Continue.
Okay. The Vikings actually ended up moving up 1 spot from 11 to 10 to select J.J. McCarthy and get their quarterback. The Jets, I guess, somehow convinced them that they were going
McCarthy.
Draft day.
McCarthy. Yeah, the Jets probably just called him and like, y'all are
You
some
have to get
bitches.
this guy.
Give me 2 draft picks and we'll give you the extra spot. And they're like, okay, yes, sir. Like, J.J. McCarthy's our guy. And then like they move up a spot and get, QB of the future. I feel a certain type of way about this. I think we're talking worst picks in the draft. Trading up, giving away another pick this year to go move up 1 spot and select Mr. Mid himself, J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
Awful. We're going to get to what the Vikings did later, which I did like. But yeah, I mean, it was a bad pick at 11. It's even worse at 10, giving up another pick for it.
Yeah.
This is just,
mean,
we already talked about this ad nauseum pre-draft.
Yeah.
So I'm
How
not
we
a fan.
feel
I mean,
about-
it's difficult. It's difficult for like a football team to tank, but in the draft, they're already tanking.
Yeah, they already made this
There
decision.
there were rumors that the Jets were shopping their pick, so they felt as if
Someone might move
so
there.
they're
Yeah.
for and after. I mean, if Penix was picked, it's McCarthy. Like most people have McCarthy next on their board.
Yeah.
You're done if you don't want. If this is the quarterback you want. I said pre-draft, I think McCarthy, no matter where he's drafted, is going to be the worst pick in the draft. I still think it's up there for me. I'm going to hate him. I just don't
But
think he's that
Odunze's your
talented.
number 1.
But Odunze's number 1 because they were getting a quarterback. They wanted, maybe they liked McCarthy. Good for you. I don't like
Yeah.
Penix. Falcons like Penix. Like it depends on who you like. That's
Yeah.
your preference, who you see. But like just the way Odunze is picked, I don't know. I didn't mind McCarthy as much. I just don't like him as a quarterback. But for their team, that's what they wanted. It's what they needed.
Yeah.
I mean, they had an amazing rest of the draft. I don't know.
Nick Mullins will be great for them the rest of the year.
Yeah, and the Jets move kind of just felt to me like it was just like a grandfather move. It kind of felt like they were just sitting in their chair smoking a cigar, like,
Sure.
we're going to trade the
Tortoise in the
pick.
hair.
It's like, give us another pick. And it's like, all right. And then they move up. And then the Jets just like, grab a little extra draft capital. And then I was surprised, though, they went for Schwanu at 11 and passed on Brock Bowers. And I was watching the Aaron Rodgers, Pat McAfee thing on draft night.
Yeah.
And it seemed that Rodgers, I mean, he's always just high as shit. So he was just kind of smiling and having a good time. It seemed like he was slightly surprised too. And he said, like, he even said he doesn't think for Schwanu, like, he's like, oh yeah, he won't have to play this year. Basically, because they already went out and got Tyron Smith.
Yeah.
They got multiple people on the line. They have like 3 tackles already, and they're only going to play 2 of them. Now they just got a 4th one. So, I mean, it's never a bad idea if you have Aaron Rodgers and they think you have all the pieces in the world, just like, let's just get another lineman just in
Yeah.
case.
Yep.
Also, Tyron Smith, extremely injury prone. That's why they were able to get him for
And
cheap.
he's at the end of his career.
Yeah, so it's obviously never a bad pick to get, tackle 2 at 11 after getting some extra draft capital. But I am surprised they passed on Bowers here. I don't know what you guys thought.
I loved it. I mean, I love the idea of. I I think the whole narrative this offseason was that the Jets kind of they quote unquote lost their opportunity last year with Aaron Rodgers. They have about 2-3 more years with him, and they're going to literally put the game plan on delay pretty much. And so now it's just do everything that you possibly can, use Aaron Rodgers and win a championship. And I mean, it's pretty clear, like obviously based off statistics previous of like Super Bowl winners, it doesn't rely on flashy receivers or insane running backs. It involves your quarterback and your quarterback being protected. And I mean, if you could bolster that offensive line, have backups for already insanely top tier like people, I mean, great move. I loved it.
No, I agree.
Also, I think Breece Hall is going to be unbelievable this year.
I mean, yeah,
Stay healthy.
they should have all the time in the world.
Facts.
The Broncos then stayed at 12 and selected Bo Nix, making it 6 quarterbacks taken in the first 12 picks. This kind of ends the quarterback frenzy of the draft, as the next quarterback wasn't selected till mid-5th round by yours truly, New Orleans Saints.
Just not talking.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But how do we feel about Bo Nix? I mean, this was, again, I mean, you could say what you want about how the draft went, but the pre-draft betting lines that showed you that this was a shock to everyone.
Yeah.
Like, you could say, oh, yeah, Sean Payton always liked Bo Nix, etc. Bo Nix's bettable line was 32.5.
Yep.
At the start of the draft.
Same with Michael Penix. Which I hit.
Yeah, no, and so,
Bang.
I mean, this was also a massive reach. It makes kind of sense, there's only one quarterback left, but how do we feel about this pick? I don't know. I wasn't surprised, but I was just like 6 in the top 12. Like, this is not 6 quarterbacks good enough to be in the top 12.
I didn't mind it simply because 5 other quarterbacks went off the board. Like, he's like, after Bo Nix is such a big fall off, like no other guy's really worth
And
getting,
they needed one.
and you needed one.
Oh,
So
desperately.
so you get your guy. And as far as Bo Nix, I mean, I had him in my top 10 list. I had him at 10.
I tend to.
Yeah, I think the thing I liked about him more so than the other guys as like the pre-draft process kind of started was like he just looks a little bit more polished, little bit more refined, which obviously he's older, so that comes with like the age and experience.
And he will be starting right away.
But he'll be starting right away.
Yeah.
You want a guy who looks a little bit more pro ready, and he, in my opinion, is more talented than JJ McCarthy.
Agreed.
I agree.
So that's why the JJ McCarthy pick wasn't a fan. The Drake May, he has like all the physical abilities, but he's really sloppy mechanically, which is why I don't think he'll do well, especially at the Patriots. But I really like this pick for them. I think Sean Payton gets his guy, shows a lot of potential. Yeah, maybe he's not like the most flashy. He's not going to run the fastest, throw the farthest. But like if you're just accurate, which he was in college, throw on time, that's what you need to be in the NFL. So, and he worked with Drew Brees, who was a little bit like an inch shorter, but I mean similar height. So,
Sean Payton, you're talking about.
Sean Payton, the head coach. So I don't know. I think it was a good fit. I actually really liked the pick.
Is it a better pick than Penix at 8 and McCarthy at 10?
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
That's question.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
I think to a lesser extent, I felt the same way about this pick as Mario did with Jaden Daniels going to Washington at number 2, where I was kind of just like, I'm bummed for him. Like, I think for the Broncos, as a team, this was their best pick of the draft, but their draft overall was miserable.
Oh, wow. Well, I can't wait to talk about that. They murdered this draft.
Well, we'll get into that later when we're talking about teams.
Oh, yeah, we can get into that later. Dude, we'll talk about it later.
I mean, I don't think
I'm
they
on
were,
board with Mike.
I don't think they were the worst, but I definitely don't think they did well. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I felt when I saw his name go off the board. I was like, this just sucks for him. I'm a fan of him, so I hope he does well. I hope he gets traded, but
It's a
the
good
Broncos did
organization.
not.
I don't know. I thought
It's
a good spot to land.
Yeah, but you are in the AFC. In a
yeah, I mean,
tough
Can't
spot.
choose that.
I mean, yeah.
They got drafted.
Every team knows Patrick Mahomes is going to be there for the next 10 years. Like you're
Also,
Fair
the rest
enough.
of that division did nothing. You could sneak into the 2 spot, get a wild card.
yeah.
No, fair enough. And after the Jets decided not to go with Brock Bowers, Vikings went quarterback. The Raiders are sitting there at 13 go, well, we didn't expect this. Here you go. Like, tight end. I mean, I'm sure they were thinking about trying to make a move for quarterback. 6 quarterbacks gone. They just took the best player left on the board. Brock Bowers at 13. In my opinion, ultimate value. You really don't get a lot of, like, this is crazy value at 13. In some people's minds, he's legitimately the most talented player in the draft. Like overall, not the most, impactful because it's a tight end position. But people were looking at Brock Bowers like arguably the best tight end prospect ever out of college. And they get him at 13.
Were those people you and Amir?
No, well, I mean, it was me, yes, I believe that. But also, I mean, it was kind of consensus around the league where it was like this is one of, if not the most talented straight out of college prospects. When he was a freshman in college, he would have been the first tight end taken off the board. He was that good. And the Raiders get him at 13. I don't know. I love this pick. I think this is a great pick for the Raiders, regardless of their quarterback situation. They were kind of handcuffed there. Couldn't draft anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard for Brock Bowers to get production with no quarterback. I mean, I think it's a tough spot. I would
Don't sleep on
This is a
Minshew.
tough spot.
Well,
I don't know.
in my
It's
mind,
just-
the Raiders kind of, I mean, they still have a very good defense. Don't get me wrong. They bolstered the shit out of that with Christian Wilkins.
No,
as
yeah.
well. And so they have a good defense. I think, especially in the AFC, this is a very forward-looking move for them. They didn't try to do too much to try to do something crazy, mortgage the future, and then try to do something this year. They're kind of like, hey, we have a good young defense. We have Max Crosby, new contract. Christian Wilkins, 4-year deal. We have like Devontae Adams still on contract for a couple more years. We just offloaded, the contracts of Josh Jacobs. We don't have to pay him anymore. They're moving like they have young talent. Let's go get Brock Bowers. We'll get a high draft pick next year because we didn't trade any of our picks for next year. Go get one of the QB 1 or 2 next year. I mean, I don't know. In my mind, I love the way this sets them up for the future. Obviously, the Raiders are not going to be contenders this year. That's not what I'm saying. But as far as like forward-looking picks go, I think this is going to age.
Yeah,
really
we'll
well.
see what they do. in the
Well,
future.
I mean, it seemed like, even when if you're sitting there playing fantasy football, I think the Raiders basically were saying, well, I guess I'll just take the best available. Like, what's the best available no matter what?
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, Brock Bowers is still there. I mean, we
Yeah.
were probably looking for something else, but
Yeah.
he's the best player on the board. And
Yeah.
whether it makes sense to us or not, we're willing to, sacrifice our immediate future for the best interest of the team later on. So.
And I wholeheartedly believe that the Raiders, if this draft isn't the craziest draft, 6 quarterbacks in the top 12, at 13, we're going Michael Penix or Bo Nix or J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
Like, I think they
Yeah.
are getting a quarterback always here.
100%
And
Yeah.
of the time.
in
yeah.
almost no mocks did they have
Brock Bowers
Yeah.
falling.
Brock Bowers falling and Penix not being there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever saw a
No.
situation where Penix is not there at 13.
Mm-hmm.
And they can either, if everyone's already got their quarterback, they can legit trade off the 13 too.
Yeah.
Grab more picks, get Penix at that 19-20 range, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So for what the situation was, I really like what they did here.
Yeah.
And then we're moving to you, Mario. Saints at 14. Not one defensive player yet selected in the draft. You decided to go with the 6th ranked pre-draft tackle, Talisi Fuaga from Oregon State. Just want to know, I mean, that was in need of your team. How did you feel? It looks like you liked the pick a lot.
Yeah, why do you hate it so much?
You guys are stuck.
I mean,
You already
He was
have
blocking-
weapons.
He was blocking for
top
DJ.
5 on the draft.
I mean, it's just every year. Like, actually, Tyler and Kevin can tell you, like 10 seconds before we picked, because I was so excited. I'm like, we're going to
is
get like
true,
a stud defender. We're going to get someone good. Then 10 seconds before I said, no, knowing the Saints, we're actually just going to draft some O-linemen no one's ever heard of. And then literally 10 seconds later, we draft Talisi Fuaga out of Oregon State.
Stud.
6th ranked
I
tackle.
mean, he's great.
I mean,
I love it.
Overall rank pre-draft 26th.
the thing is,
But top
Like-
10 for his position.
it never hurts.
Top 6 for his position.
At 14.
It never hurts to get like an O lineman if you really need it.
Sure.
Do I think like we were desperate to get one? No. Should we probably have gotten like a linebacker or like an edge rusher? Because Cam Jordan maybe has a year or 2 left. Because I mean he's 36 now or 35. Yeah, we probably should have got like Jared Verse or Latu or Dallas Turner or even a corner, like just someone else. But instead, typical Saints fashion, we never do anything really to move the needle. We never like actually go for it. We
Hey,
never
you did
take
trade up in the draft a couple years ago and
Get
also
Marcus-
select.
Marcus Davenport. Like how that's worked out. Yeah, and then I think 2 years later we got Trevor Penning on the O line.
Perennial Pro Bowler right there.
Perennial.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, dude. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, no, the Saints. I mean, that you did say that right before the pick happened. Mario was like, "You were
That's
so
for
stoked.
sure.
Like, no defender's been taken. You're like, we
Yeah.
get the best defensive player in the draft. We have free reign, anyone we
Dallas
want."
Turner.
And then
Off
they
the
picked
board.
a tackle that was 6th ranked 4 tackles when only 2 tackles have been selected before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, good job, Saints.
So not
So the Colts are sitting at 15, and they're going,
Holy shit.
is this a dream? Someone slap me,
Yeah.
wake me up. There's not been one defensive player taken in
Every
the
player on
draft.
my pick is available.
Yeah,
All
they're
my-
like, we need defense. Who's available? Oh my God, all
Everyone.
of them.
Yeah.
All. They're sitting at 15.
Must have been a hard
Everything.
decision.
They go with
Which
their-
I've never seen before.
No,
And I
it's
don't
not-
think hasn't happened in a draft.
It's never happened
No,
before.
100%
There's
never
never been 14 offensive players selected in the first 15, which I want to ask a question about in a second. But they get their choice of the litter. They pick Laiatu Latu, UCLA boy, defensive player number 1. Tate, how are we feeling, A, with the Colts pick? I think a great value there.
New favorite team?
And also, B, yeah, is this now your new favorite team? Because UCLA, you said wherever Latu goes, you're going to look at to maybe root for.
Do you bleed blue and white?
100%. Yeah.
Oh, whoa!
100% Colts fan. I love
Call the
Laiatu
horse.
Latu.
Ping,
What
ding,
a
ding, ding.
horseman!
What a
He's found a home.
Anthony
Mr.
Richardson.
Horseman!
What a fantastic landing spot for
Great
him.
landing
I mean,
spot. Oh, yeah.
last year on the pod, everyone laughed at me. I called the Colts going 9-8.
You
They
did.
were much better than everyone had anticipated.
Shout out Gardner Minshew.
Shout out Gardner Minshew. I like Anthony Richardson. He's got a lot of talent. I mean, that's just a fun team.
Very
I
fun
mean,
team. Young
Dude,
team.
Latu, DeForest Buckner. I mean, they're good. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited to be a Colts fan. It's gonna be really cool. Latu, he's an absolute dog.
Congrats
I
to
hope
him,
everyone's
first
ready.
defensive player taken.
It's
Yeah.
pretty
Wow.
cool. It was pretty cool that he didn't go to like an absolute trash team, and I would have to.
Well, I mean, it was what a treat for these defensive guys. I mean, obviously you're not getting paid, top 5 pick money.
Yeah.
But the best defensive players in the draft that were like, these are going to be stud Pro Bowlers, all get to go to like playoff
Good
or
teams.
borderline playoff teams.
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's, this is something I wanted to bring up. Does the first 14 picks being all offense tell you one of two things? You can tell me what you think. Does it mean that teams don't really value defense anymore and they're just trying to hit the home run with the quarterback or a big position? Or is this just a case of the teams at the front of the draft are actually the worst franchises trying to hit the home runs, and the teams later on are the best teams for a reason where they take value where it comes to them? I think the latter. Or some mix of both. What?
No, or it's just this is a like never before seen type of draft where the like top talent of players is in these specific arrangement of positions. It's just it just kind of ended up being that way.
I don't know if that's necessarily true, though. I think it's more like I don't think there's many teams that literally believe that J.J. McCarthy and Bo Nix and them are better football players than the Dallas Turner Laiatu.
No.
I don't think I don't even think the teams that drafted them believe that. I think it's just they're drafting
fit,
for need.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
no one think like I don't really think they think.
But
that-
I think us and I can almost say assuredly that like GMs were also thinking that it's what we said that there was that pack of 6 quarterbacks and then everyone after, right? And that's what the draft showed, is that they made pushes for people within that 6 range, and then after that it fell
No one
off.
was thinking those 6 were going top 12 though. I mean that was
Top
never-
12, no, but
That
I
was
mean,
never said.
but it was pretty consensus that like these are the top 6 guys for this position.
Yeah, but we were
and
thinking.
they're all,
but you were thinking
notable
the 5
enough
and the
to be-
6 there are maybe going end of the first, second round.
Well, it was all because of the Falcons.
Yeah,
Falcons
yeah.
changed everything.
They really just.
Falcons changed everything.
Oh,
Them
yeah.
taking Michael Penix at 8. Just
Do you think this 14 picks being all offense though has any statement as to like the league as a whole, or do you think it's just a one-off?
I think a little bit. I think you can't deny it if it's never happened before. And you're seeing every year that it's harder and harder for defensive players to like make a tackle, to hit someone without it being like a flag or a penalty, or you know what I mean? Like
the league is
I mean,
changing. Yeah,
a lot of people have been vocal about it. I mean, I think like even Tom Brady's like, you can't like, it's so hard. Like you can't play defense anymore. Like it's literally impossible for these defenders to like
get a tackle.
not get a flag like on every play. You know,
yeah,
if the ref looks for it, he'll find
true.
find it. And so I think, and you look at like all these teams with the great offenses, like that's kind of what's selling. So
I know. I mean,
I still think defense is important. And if you look at like Super Bowl
Or
like
deep
winning
playoff
teams,
runs, defense,
it's always the teams with the best defenses.
49ers Chiefs right there.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
and I
Ravens,
don't know.
you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't want to like bring basketball into this, but like, have you noticed in like during this basketball postseason, they just do not call fouls anymore. their defense is so much more of an emphasis now because they're just so tired of it was just all offense, and all of a sudden they're playing defenses and teams that are better.
I think the
defensive
pendulum's going to
players.
shift in the NFL.
I'm just saying it could. I don't think we have seen that in a while. And finally in basketball, after so many years of scoring, they were like, okay, mid-season, we're just going to go, okay, we're not going to call fouls as frequently. I don't know, but I just, that thought came to my head and I thought it was kind of interesting. I mean, I think we could still be in the offense era of football, but it can always turn around in the
Yeah,
rules.
I think the heavy hitter thing is that the past 5 years, every top offensive player has been panning out well. C.J. Stroud, Richardson looked good. Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, even the wide receivers have come in and just dominated the league. That everyone's looking for a home run hitter in their first 4 years on a rookie contract instead of the next 4 years when they have to pay him $120 million.
Yeah.
So I think defensive players don't do that because if a defensive player comes in and dominates the league, it's not their team isn't going to go crazy. They're not going to get jersey sales. You know what I mean? It's just not a big thing. But everyone wants that. C.J. Stroud just came in and looked amazing. Anthony Richard before he got hurt, maybe they were 500, but he looked
He
way
was
better.
looking maybe rookie of the year when he was playing because
he
was when he was playing he was putting up ridiculous numbers.
He looks really good. And then you just see these young guys come in and look just so dominant. I just think that everyone's looking for the home run hitter, which is the worst way to do a draft.
Agreed.
I mean, the Texans did it. I say this so many times, but Texans did it so perfectly. No year did they do something out of ordinary or go for something or draft. They drafted their defensive ends, they drafted their cornerbacks, and they waited time to make a team and draft their cornerback.
Well, and they made the best trade in history trading away Deshaun Watson for
I'm saying, but still,
8 draft picks.
You had no idea that was going to work. You were dead for 4 years. I mean, C.J. Stroud flipped your world. If it wasn't for C.J. Stroud, who the world knows what they would have done.
Yeah.
So they just did such a good job, and these teams are just all looking for that one guy to come in. They all just want the offensive weapon that's going to be oh, we're now amazing.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. I don't know. It's definitely interesting.
But after Latu went off the board, little run on defense. Next pick, Byron Murphy.
My boy.
Michael's boy from Texas, off the board at 16, number 1 overall defensive tackle, going to the Seahawks, drafted ahead of Dallas Turner. So you were wrong that he was going top 8 at that 8 spot, but you were
Pretty far
right
off,
saying that he
actually.
would get drafted ahead of Dallas Turner.
Yeah, I mean, that's very strange to talk about because they're two different positions. So it's just what do teams need?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, obviously I'm very, very biased, but in my opinion, he was by and large the number 1 interior defensive man that you were going to get in the draft. And I don't think it was pretty close.
That's how he was drafted.
Exactly. And so, it's just what teams needed. And it just so happened that the Titans, who needed an interior defensive man, had a pick before. And so, that's just, it's how it played out.
Wait,
but
the Titans?
What?
I'm sorry. Not the Titans.
You don't know what
The
team he
Colts?
went to.
Talking about Latu's, where he was drafted?
No, I'm talking about,
Where Murphy was drafted?
yeah, where Murphy was drafted.
Seahawks
Yeah, yeah.
at
Sorry.
16.
Yeah, I don't know why I said the Titans.
Okay.
But yeah, just happened to fit the team needs in a timely
Fits
manner.
the team needs.
No, I'm with you. It was a big pick for
Great pick for
Byron
the Titans.
Murphy. The Texas football team as a whole had a really good draft. 11 picks.
11 players.
11
Yeah.
players selected, second
Jesus
most
Christ.
behind Michigan with 13.
Bang, baby.
So it's pretty good showing from
We got
Texas
one of them on the
boys.
Rams.
Yeah,
Jordan
we'll
Whittington.
talk
Let's
about
go.
that. Vikings then at 17 made one of my favorite moves in the draft, trading up into the 17 spot in getting Dallas Turner. I think
yeah.
this is, in my opinion, the
great move.
strongest move made in the first round by a long shot. Because I think it was kind of consensus that it was J.J. McCarthy was reaching. They thought it was their guy, but that high in a draft, in the past, in 10 years ago, this would be a crazy thing to draft a J.J. McCarthy type player at 10. But their number 1 defensive guy, according to them, who I believe was you good?
He's certainly not down the flag.
Was on the board at 17. I saw the reaction from the owner. I don't know if you guys saw that. I think I showed it to you
They
today
went
or
nuts.
someone. Yeah, the GM went to the owner and was just like, hey, we're getting Turner. And they're like, what? We were getting Dallas. And so they made up for not getting Turner at 10 by getting him at 17 and still getting their quarterback. So in my brain, it's kind of screwed. I'm just like, oh, same thing as them getting Dallas Turner at 10, J.J. McCarthy at 17. I no longer have an issue with it. Their first round overall, I think, was
Oh,
extremely
they did perfect.
successful.
It was perfect. Exactly what you can ask for. I think Dallas Turner at that spot's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think it was the 7th or 8th pick in my head.
Same.
In my head, fairly through all of our drafts. I mean,
I thought he was
that's
getting picked at 8. I was sold he was getting.
No,
going
I mean,
on the
that
top-
was
going on
just-
the Falcons.
Yeah.
crazy the value here. And it's like you released Daniel Hunter, perfectly fit in someone just like
Yeah.
that a defensive playmaker is not going to change your team. I thought this was perfect for them.
Yeah, this was a money pick. You said Rams selecting a Texas player. Before they selected anyone from Texas, they went ahead and picked Jared Verse at 19.
Value time
Let's
again.
go.
I knew you were
Let's
hyped on
go.
it. I wasn't watching the draft with you. Tell me how you feel about this Rams pick.
Oh my God, unbelievable. I mean, I've been able to rant for miles on end ever since, I think it was the finals for, or
No, I think it was-
semi-conference finals for the ACC.
It was the game before the ACC championship, and then you watched the ACC
Oh, yeah,
championship.
you're
as
right.
well.
You're right. So not the semifinals, but it was the game before, and then since then, those last 2 showings I had of them, him and Brandon Fisk, who we got in the second round.
Yep.
I mean, just I couldn't be happier. They were NFL caliber off college tapes. So let's go. It's not an easy gap to fill with Aaron Donald leaving, but I think we did everything we possibly could, and our draft was just very linearly like.
It was. Yeah, sorry.
was
I was
great.
just
I
gonna
love
say it was so funny to me because it felt like you were in. You know how the Rams bought that house in Malibu?
Oh yeah.
And there was like the draft house. It felt like Mike skipped out on stagecoach with us to go to the Rams draft house in Malibu and just chill there and just give his input. Because they went to Florida State defensive end, and then their first pick in the second round, they went Florida State defensive tackle.
Yep.
And Mike all year was like, these
These
Florida
guys,
State
let me
defensive
tell
ends
you.
are the
These
best.
guys,
And the
these
Rams are
boys.
just like, all right, we're losing Aaron Donald. Let's get both of the ones from Florida State. I love
Insider trading.
I love
Yeah,
the
I-
move from the Rams.
Oh,
I think it's a great pick.
Oh,
I think it was
at
a-
19 getting
such a-
Jared Verse.
such a
great,
good
great
such
value,
good
yeah,
value.
everything.
I mean, I think
It's a
you
great
cannot
pick.
be happier with. I mean, the Rams draft as a whole. We're talking about teams draft after. I think the
Insane.
Rams drafted extremely well. Jared
Yep.
Verse at 19 is exemplary pick.
Yep.
Steelers at 20. All right. Steelers. Cornerback 1 is still on the board. Whoever you may think that is. Only 3 wide receivers have been taken. There are still a couple dogs left. 2 big positions the Steelers have to fill. The Steelers then go with Troy Fatanu, first guard off the board at 20. So I'll give my thoughts, and you can say it. At first, I was very upset. Very, very upset. I wanted us to get the best corner. It felt like it was one of the same things that the Colts were looking at, where the Colts had any defensive player they wanted. They could take their pick of the litter. We need a corner. I mean, that defense just gets solidified with a corner 1. I don't care who it is. If you think it's Nate Wiggins, if you think it's Quinyon Mitchell, if you think it's Terrion Arnold, doesn't matter to me. Get your guy at cornerback 1. You have a whole rest of the draft to fill out the rest of the board. You can go freaking tackle guard for the rest of the draft if you want. Or get a wide receiver. I think, Brian Thomas would be awesome for this team. Like 2 young stud receivers in Pickens and Thomas to pair with, Justin Fields for the future and Russell Wilson this year. We already have 2 good tight ends and 2 good running backs. So I think I was really hoping we get one of those. But the more I think about it, the more I like the pick, actually. And he was the number 1 guard in the class, and he fell to us at 20. So while I was like, oh, these corners are falling to us, let's take the value when it comes, I think this is the value when it comes. And if they think Justin Fields is a guy you want to build around, he was getting killed with the Bears all year. Go get the best guard in the class. They didn't have to move up for him. So I'm not upset with this pick particularly. It's grown on me significantly, and I was just, pretty emotional that they didn't get Nate Wiggins, and he ended up going
I
to
think
our
it
rivals. But
also really quick, it goes back to what Mario said about his Saints pick, where it's like, at the end of the day, it's not really what you wanted, but drafting a solid O lineman is never a bad move.
yeah, and we
Like,
did need a
it's
guard.
never a bad
Yeah,
move.
this isn't even solid too. Is the number 1 player in his position. I'm like,
Yeah.
I love this to death. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember what my number 1 player in this entire draft was. It was Joe Alt.
Joe Alt,
All
yeah.
I care about, if you protect your quarterback and your weapons and you have a good defense, you'll be good in the league for a while. Yes, our biggest thing is we haven't won playoff games. I think that's only been direct with our quarterback, nothing to do with everything else. We filled that
Agreed.
position already. So I think this was a fantastic pick. I think the way Najee and Jalen Warren were running at the end of the year, I mean, just filling out the things we already needed. And our big thing is how the offseason goes and if we get a wide receiver. But I think our defense is stacked. I'm all in on JPJ, Joey Porter Jr. being our cornerback 1 for the future. He looked unbelievable last year, especially towards the end of the year.
Sure.
I think our defense is beyond stacked. We have no holes anywhere.
Yeah.
A cornerback would have helped and made it top 2, if not 1.
Yeah.
But I just think this team is perfect. I love going offensive line here. I loved it. I love the Steelers. They draft so well. Like, it's just a smooth oiled machine in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I mean, we'll talk, like I said, after we get through this first round, we'll talk teams. Eagles then at 22, Just sit right
Oh
there
my
and
God,
get
they did.
cornerback one, Quinyon Mitchell.
So good.
Oh, they
Yeah,
draft the
so
best
good.
defensive
I
players
mean,
every year.
what a-
Everyone's like, how did you do it?
What a pick. I don't really know if there's much to say here. Just value.
Insane.
People were mocking him
Literally insane.
early teens in this draft.
Ridiculous.
The Jags traded down from their spot to go to 23. And then sitting there at 23, they went and got Brian Thomas, the LSU wide receiver, to help out that wide receiver group. They released Zay Jones today, I saw.
Yeah.
So their wide receiver group is solidified as Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk, and Brian Thomas, along with Evan Ingram. So I really like this pick for the Jags. I think they've been doing a lot on the O-line. They re-signed Trevor and Travis. I think picking up Brian Thomas here is value.
No, yeah, it doesn't hurt for sure. Give Trevor Lawrence weapons. He was the number one pick for a reason. I think they'll be fine. I just it was interesting how I feel like how they felt trading back a little bit and still getting. I feel like a player they were like, oh, there's no way we were gonna get like a wide receiver. I feel like on their board that was not a player they were gonna get.
Yeah.
They were just like, well, shit. Like with Trevor Lawrence, we just lost Ridley. Kirk has been injury prone the last 2 years. We just got like a really good wide receiver.
I love,
What pick were they originally?
I think 17. I want to say the Rams moved up.
Dude, I think no, the Rams are always 19. But
Oh, no, not the Rams. I mean, the Vikings. Sorry. Vikings to get
dude, why is that making me think this might have been the worst move in the draft? I mean, I hate it. I think Trevor Lawrence gets a lot of shit, at least on like this podcast, because from Ryan. And it's because of the fact that he's always scrambling for his entire life. And I think if they had the 17th pick, they probably should have used it on O linemen and just help Trevor Lawrence. If he's your guy, and obviously they're committed to him being their guy, just help him out. Like, not in the way of like, if you still have half a second to throw a ball, adding another receiver to that half second, just throw it up for anybody, doesn't help. You need somebody who's going to give your guy an extra 2-3 seconds in the pocket.
Do they need
And-
offensive line?
I think they went out and got offensive linemen in the offseason, if I'm
But-
not
I didn't know.
mistaken.
But
Yeah,
again, it's like,
one of their linemen was hurt all season.
could you not have had a good backup for
No, yeah,
I mean,
a
this
veteran?
was
or
in
like,
my opinion. I get what you're saying about get the O line. I do think they solidified their O line. Their O line was also hurt the entire season. And Trevor, to be honest, like, yeah, he was under fire a lot, but the wide receivers really weren't getting open a whole lot last year. And like Calvin Ridley was a huge bust from their point of view. Granted, he got his bag and re-signed him.
Yeah.
But that was a direct need for them.
Yeah.
They lost to their wide receiver one on paper. He wasn't actually the wide receiver one on their team. But I think getting, a first round wide receiver who's unbelievably fast is like what he needs. He didn't have that go-to option like he had his entire time at Clemson. Like you can say what you want about Christian Kirk, but he's catching, slants and posts and stuff. He's not like the go get him, like can compete with like the Jamar Chase-esque type players. So I love this pick, especially for being a Trevor Lawrence fan. I think this is going to help him a lot. Right after that, cornerback 2 was taken, Terrion Arnold by the Lions. I think it's value. I think it was just a good pick.
It's just a solid.
fine.
Lions-
Lions
Yeah, that's
continue.
Lions
need help.
suck at picking defensive players. Defensive backs.
They do.
I mean, yeah, like
They
they
literally
drafted
do.
like Jeff
They're
Okuda,
over
like
10.
trash.
They do, but they've been
So-
drafting them really.
I'll give it to you.
They've been drafting them really high. This isn't. This
no.
This sounds like this feels like
Bottom
it
of the
fell to the
first.
bottom
Yeah,
too,
no, this
rather
for
than
sure
reaching
fell,
at
yeah.
what
I
was
mean, they needed.
what was Okuda 3?
Yeah. They
Yeah,
needed
so
anything.
I-
Hey, he'll be nice. He'll be nice on the
Yeah.
Texans.
And then
It'll be a fun team.
Bills are sitting there at 28, need a wide receiver.
Oh my god.
Bills decide not to take a wide receiver,
trade it away.
trade it to the Chiefs, who then draft Xavier Worthy.
Wow.
Wow is literally what I have written here as my notes. Patrick Mahomes tweeted as they made the trade before the pick was taken, a little emoji with the sunglasses and the
Yep.
smiley face.
Let's
This was clearly the guy he was liking all offseason. They were saying, like, all the hype was like, oh, they're taking him at 32. Chiefs didn't wait for it, and the Bills handed it to him.
Dude,
Yep.
I mean, that's the craziest part of this pick to me.
The Bills love
is the
handing
Bills
the
let
Chiefs
the Chiefs do this.
Win. They love
That's
letting the
freaking
Chiefs
crazy, dude. The Chiefs beat them every year. And they're like, oh,
In
here you-
everything.
And they're like, here you go. Barely got anything in return.
oh, I love it.
Didn't get Xavier
The
Worthy.
Bills, I mean, lost Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis.
They must be cooking something up.
Well,
Yeah.
they drafted Keon Coleman first pick of the
besides
second
that.
round, who's hilarious, by the way, in his interviews.
Yeah.
But this pick, I mean, not only what it means for the Chiefs, getting like the really fast guy, but this just hurt.
Dude,
This
all
just
I
hurt too
know
much.
is that I think in the very first pre-draft video or episode that we did, I think I called this was my dream scenario for Xavier Worthy after he broke the record. I was like, because Chiefs were originally sitting in the 32nd spot.
Yeah.
And I was saying, I think Xavier Worthy, if he were to go in the first round, would go around here. And that would be the dream because he would replace Cheetah and it would just be a match made in heaven. And oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. This is going to be the most dynamic duo in the NFL.
By the way,
oh my God, this is just insane.
By the way,
he has
dynamic
top tier grade A
Opening
route
the
running
door.
abilities.
What happened?
He
Okay,
has
never mind. I hate
S-tier
this pick.
speed.
I can't stand it.
I mean,
This
he
is-
has
this is
unbelievable-
Why, Chiefs, why?
unbelievable- Oh my God.
I just want to let you guys all know what this
Oh my
is
God,
opening
so
the
good.
door
I mean,
for
it's
next
Kadarius
season on
Toney
the
2.0.
podcast. I don't agree with that. I actually
He's very good.
I'm very in
He'll be off the
between.
team in 2 years.
I don't think he will.
That's false.
So I'm very
False.
between.
If Rasheed Rice goes to jail and he's maybe, but it's looking like Rasheed Rice is going to be playing.
Yeah.
All I'm saying here is I'm somewhere between Ryan and Michael on this.
Got a wide range.
Best duo in the league.
Not going to play in 2.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I am. You're right.
Smackdown.
I'm pretty in the middle of it, to where he's the fastest player in NFL history, right?
Allegedly.
His hand. Okay, yeah, I know you have
One
questions.
of at least the-
if maybe one or two of the fastest players ever.
Sure, I'll give you that.
Kadarius Toney always had hand problems. Xavier Worthy, isn't the most sure-handed guy, but he didn't have drop problems like Kadarius
didn't.
Toney did.
He also didn't have yards or touchdowns. But I mean,
No, yeah,
we're talking
but
just.
all I'm saying is, I think
Boy
Patrick,
can run in a straight line, though. Let me
Patrick
tell you.
Mahomes, when we saw what he did with
Excellent
Rasheed
route
Rice,
runner,
No, I know.
I think he's going to do the same thing he did with Rasheed Rice with Xavier Worthy.
I think Rasheed
Where
Rice. is way
Rasheed
better
Rice-
than
Yeah,
Xavier
me
Worthy,
too.
personally speaking.
Yeah, maybe.
That's the only reason why.
Maybe, but I think they're going to use him well. They don't need to have him as a wide receiver 1 or even 2
I see what you're
options.
saying. Patrick Mahomes is
Like
him.
Patrick Mahomes
gonna
and
make
Andy
everyone
Reid
better.
are freaking offensive geniuses,
Yeah.
and all the Bills did, say what you want about Xavier Worthy, was hand him the fastest player in the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're just like, Mahomes, we have everything. What do you want? Let's see what we can do here.
let's
Let's
get
just see. Let's
Ferrari.
see what we can do.
Let's
If it
get
doesn't
Ferrari
work,
off Ferrari.
who cares?
It's not like
Oh
I don't
my
like
gosh.
hate the pick because like it's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you pick.
Any Chiefs,
That
they
player
could
got-
have drafted anyone, and it would have been a good pick.
But like it's
Sure.
just
Teams-
like the whole
that's fact.
Xavier
Yeah,
Worthy
Patrick
thing, and it's it's not even the Xavier Worthy as well. It's the Donnie Mitchell thing that just kills me because
Yeah.
in my personal opinion,
He didn't go till much.
He didn't go till end of second.
Yeah,
the
much
level
what do you
of
want?
how much better one player is than
talk.
another I've
I
ever
know.
seen throughout an entire year, and because someone ran fast
It was
for
the
10
it was
seconds
the combine.
makes him all of a sudden better for a whole like 30 picks is crazy.
The entire combine.
Man,
was
Donnie
better,
Mitchell
though.
is better
In
by
every
a
way.
mile.
In every way.
Good news
than
is
Xavier Worthy. Watch
Adonai
watch
Mitchell went to
Texas Tech.
Adonai Mitchell went to Tate's team.
Yeah,
so
he's
we'll
going
be
to
able,
Colts.
we'll be able to
That's
see.
a real wide receiver.
And one thing I want to say about this Chiefs pick that I know is going to happen for next season, I just want us to prepare ourselves mentally. We watched Michael, be a Penn State fan for a little while.
Oh god, I
And
swear.
then he saw some players.
I'm not gonna be a fucking Chiefs fan.
Mike, I didn't finish what I was saying. Don't cut me off, please. Well, he saw some players he really liked at Texas and was like, you know what? I'm a Longhorns fan. And now he's a diehard Longhorns fan. Xavier Worthy is Michael's favorite player in college. You see how excited he was just now? How he's just like, this is the future. They're going to be together forever.
A pure joy and
As
happiness.
you watch next season's episodes, pay attention to the tone at which Michael talks about the Chiefs, the increasing favor at which he likes the Chiefs. By the end of next season, the Chiefs will be his second favorite team.
If you've known me,
and
you
at the end, start competing for his favorite team by the end of next
Wow.
season.
no.
That's my prediction.
No,
Easily.
it's the same
It would
idea
be
as
on
if you've
par
known
for
me.
his entire
No,
life.
same
That's
idea as me talking about the Falcons last year. I would have never said anybody take the Falcons to your promised land,
Nope.
but I always
But
said
the Chiefs are winning.
Bijan to the promised land.
the Chiefs are
Every
winning.
time
Yeah,
I
but the
talk
Chiefs
about
are
the
a winning
Falcons,
The
franchise.
Chiefs are a winning team.
I'm a supporter of
gonna
the
watch him in the
player and their
playoffs.
success.
Oh, no,
If Xavier Worthy is the wide receiver 1 on a Super Bowl winning team, I'm going to be nonstop rattling off about how good he is. And then
And the
in
team.
5
And you'll
years
start
when he comes over to the Rams,
Okay.
I'm going to literally explode on everyone.
All right. Enough exploding.
God.
I just wanted to have that on camera so I can come back to it.
Bang!
And then to end out the first round, the pick that hurt me the most. This pick was a knife into my heart. It
was such a good-
There is not
Such a good pick
worse
by the
thing that
team.
could have happened to
sharp.
me in this draft than my favorite player in the draft, Nate Wiggins, in my opinion, cornerback 1, going to the Ravens at 30.
Great pick by the
My
Ravens.
least favorite team, and the speed at which they took him was the most painful
fastest?
thing. It was the fastest pick made in the draft. It felt like 3 seconds, 5 seconds. Literally, it was 8 seconds, whatever it was. They selected him immediately. They posted. They said their whole team, their whole defensive coordinator, their coach, all said like this was our cornerback one by far. Like didn't think he'd be here.
Yeah.
Selected Nate Wiggins. They are like all like buddy, posting pictures. They're so happy there, and it's
Just wait till next season when Tyler becomes a Ravens fan. Because no, he's not my. He's not my.
No, Nate Wiggins. No, Nate Wiggins is actually dead to me now. He's my
that's how.
No,
He's
it's
my
funny
that's
you
how
say
you
that
should-
because Tyler, after the draft, we were talking about it. I was like, so how do you feel about him going, to your quote unquote least favorite team?
I said it was the least favorite thing that ever happened in the history of life.
No, I think he said something about like, he wouldn't be too upset if he locks up his wide receivers because
that's
he's
what I
not
said.
that big of a fan of the wide receivers that are on the Steelers now.
Yeah, that's what I said.
And
yeah.
his love for Nate Wiggins overpowers.
Mike, you're
his-
gonna be so fucking tilted if you
Oh,
keep
I mean,
making shit up. No, I hate the Ravens more than anything in any
But he
sport
loves Nate
ever.
Wiggins.
No, I did love Nate
a
Wiggins.
Ravens
No, he's Nate Wiggins is dead to him now.
Yeah,
so
no, unless
does
until he
not
goes to
love
another
Nate
team.
I'm to the dead list.
But no, it does really suck though.
Tyler
that
has a Raven in
they
his
got.
heart.
I also feel like it's an insane pick for the Ravens as a team. I think it was like
Let's
crazy
go there.
value, and he's gonna be going against Steelers receivers for the next 5 years plus. So
We're in
huge bummer. And then the two picks that killed my wide receivers under 6.5. Ricky Pearsall at 31 to the 49ers, and the Panthers then traded with the Bills again. Shout out Buffalo for fucking me every single time.
yeah.
To the
Buffalo.
Panthers.
Wait,
Panthers
Josh
somehow,
Allen,
some way.
Buffalo.
Panthers getting
Buffalo.
Xavier Legette at 32 makes it 7
Great
wide
pick.
receivers taken in the first round. What do you guys feel about those last two receivers?
I mean, Panthers just nutted everywhere. I think they
With
did.
Legette?
Yeah, they're just really putting in work. I think they're really like, F this. We got the number one pick for a reason last year. Let's use it. Like they traded for Deontay. They got Legette. They're building around. I mean, I love the pick. I love Legette. He's a freak of nature.
Poor Thielen.
Pearsall. Anyone have a feeling
I
about
I was confused on why they wouldn't get Legette instead of Pearsall when they're obviously going to lose one of their
Steve
two
Smith
worst
said he only ever made this comment about a player in the draft. Last time he said it was Cooper Kupp. He said this boy is a straight problem. We'll just wait and see. It's exactly what we said about Cooper Kupp when everyone thought they overdrafted Cooper Kupp. Obviously, wide
That's a
receiver
phrase.
comparisons. Well, no, Steve Smith's usually pretty sharp with his draft receivers.
He was good.
Pearsall
He was a good receiver.
On Florida, Florida was
catch.
terrible. I think he did have one highlight. It'll be
Outside
interesting
of
to
that
see.
highlight, he was a good player. I did watch a couple Florida games because I may or may not have had money on the game. And Pearsall, like every time I'd watch him, like the one thing I love most and like looking at a receiver is just how they get open. And that was one thing. No matter how bad the quarterback was or missing like him, he's at least open. And the pros will hit you.
Yeah.
You just have to do your job and get open. And I mean, obviously, we saw like the commentators would always say like he's sure-handed. We saw that one catch, which was like catch of the year, where he like
The one, over.
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, these NFL guys know. I mean, they're pros for a
49ers
reason.
have been pretty good at getting receivers too.
They're
That's
pros
true.
for a
That's
reason. They
true.
look at every receiver. This guy's probably good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, all right. So
yeah.
now we made it through the first round. I want to take a step back, talk about who won the draft. All right, so we just talked first round, but I want to step back. Whole draft put together, all 7 rounds. Obviously, the draft doesn't end at the first round. Honestly, it just begins there. The rest of the draft is where you get your value. Take a step back, look at the whole draft. Which teams had the strongest drafts overall? This can be one team if you only think there's one that stood out. It can be 3. You can list off 5. I don't care. Tell me how you feel about the draft as a whole. Tate, I want to start with you. Just what were you seeing here?
I mean, I think like with the Rams, I don't know, something about those two defensive players. I love that. I think that was really strong. I honestly, I mean, full bias, I think the Colts had a great draft.
I think the Colts had a great
I
draft
think the
too.
Colts had a great
Hook 'em,
draft.
baby.
No, they really
Hook
did.
'em, baby.
Oh, you Colts fan now too, Mike?
No.
Just wait.
He's switching.
I'm
wait.
Andy Mitchell.
Wait.
No, I
Yeah,
do
I
like
mean-
the Donnie Mitchell pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it Adonai or is it Adonai?
Dude, it's
or-
every
just say
other
AD.
announcer
It's
says
AD.
it.
AD Mitchell.
It's
Just
80.
say
Yeah,
AD.
80
Yeah.
Mitchell. Yeah, I mean, I think those two stand out to me. I mean, obviously the Colts. I think just now being like a Colts fan, which is kind of weird because it's like, I don't know. I got
Are you
a
getting an
little-
Anthony Richardson jersey?
Oh,
It's gonna get Latu
No, I
first.
like it a lot too.
Oh, lots of
Maybe
jerseys.
Anthony down the line.
I like an Anthony Richardson.
Down the line, yeah.
All
no,
right.
no, Latu jersey. I mean, those two, yeah. I mean, I think
That's fair.
He
yeah.
steal the draft for sure.
Ryan, how do you feel?
So, the number one for me, but it wasn't really close, was the Eagles. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's kind of being like a thing every year where they just like have the best draft somehow.
well, yeah.
I don't even understand it. They just like it's just because on the defensive side, I mean, they're already stacked for their offense, but like, I mean, getting the two, some people's like cornerback 1 and cornerback 2 is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like actually crazy. They're already set on the interior. Like to get, I don't know. I think it's an absolute
It was wild.
murder to start.
Wild.
And like they just have, I mean, they just fill out so well with their positions. And I just think I just liked going bang bang there, even though Cooper might. I mean, we know he's a little injured, but like I think he's gonna be a stud.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought that was out of this world. And then I know you guys disagree with this, but the Broncos, in my opinion, had an amazing draft. They got what they needed immediately at quarterback in Bo Nix. Sean Payton might like him, and I really liked him. I think he's pro ready to get going. He showed he could develop through, just look at his career.
Yeah.
I know people say he was old, had a lot of seasons. I mean, he played with the same amount of seasons as Penix and Daniels, I'm pretty sure. So, like, I just think they're all the same. It's just who you like or who you think's quarterback ready. Then, Troy Franklin, if you don't like Troy Franklin or thought he had a bad combine, he was unbelievable. And guess why? Probably because of Bo Nix. Now you pair them together, and they have that 1-2 punch. They're not just going to lose that. Maybe some people thought Troy Franklin was a top 3 wide receiver last year during the first like 9 for like 9 games of the year before like Rome went crazy. It was Troy Franklin. Everyone was talking about. Now you put Bo with him, unbelievable. Another player that people thought was one of the best of their positions, Audric Estime. You bring him in, you get him so late in value, unbelievable. That offense now, good or bad, has something going for them. They have a lot of weapons to go for them for the future. I think I love that. None of those picks I thought were bad or reaches at all. And then my favorite pick, Jonah Elias from Utah, an edge rusher that they need. They have a linebackers that's set. They have Browning. They have Surtain. We don't know if he's going to stay. I think he'll stay. They have Alex Highsmith. They're stacked, and they just needed a solid rusher. They got him. Utah's defense last year was because of Jonah Elias. I mean, their defense was stacked, and I think this draft was perfect. I didn't see anything where I was like, holy shit. They paired their QB with the wide receiver that made him both the top 5, and they got a running back who we all were saying like was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Maybe you like different guys. Estimate was a stud. They got him in like the 6 or 7. Like everything was value there. And I love their draft. I think as a whole, I don't even like the Broncos. I have nothing towards them. I think they slammed this draft. I loved it.
Yeah. That's interesting. We'll circle back to that because I know Michael said he thought they had one of the worst drafts. But after looking at the whole draft, Colts were my number 1 by far. And Tate already talked about this. I have a couple of notes about it. Latu, they got the best overall defensive player in their minds in the draft. Huge win. They didn't have to trade up for him. A.D. Mitchell joins Pittman and Downs on that wide receiver core to help out. Anthony Richardson coming back off an injury. I think A.D. Mitchell is insane value at the end of the second round.
It's your wide receiver 1, baby.
Like Ryan said, well, Pittman's clearly wide receiver 1, but
not for long.
Okay. Well, either way, they have wide receiver 1 upside with A.D. Mitchell for sure.
Yeah.
They then went tackle, center, wide receiver, Gold from Oregon State, who was their wide receiver 1, and then 2 safeties for their secondary. So they basically filled out all of their needs and then got the most value with Latu and A.D. Mitchell at the top. They didn't reach on anyone. I just love the way they drafted that. I think they've drafted very well the last 2 seasons, not just this year. They drafted great last year too. Eagles, probably the sexiest draft in my opinion. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, first 2 picks were great. They killed the first 2 rounds, but the rest of their draft I think was even more impressive. Edge rusher and Hunt, which was huge from I think it was like Houston Christian or something. He was one of like the more like under the radar edge rushers, but he's still really highly rated from a non like target school. Shipley in the 4th to back up Saquon, and I think is really cool because the Eagles. We know how the Eagles always use 8 running backs at a time, and I think Shipley is going to be really, really good for them in that complementary role. He's not ready to be RB1. We saw it on Clemson. He needed a lot of help from Maffa, but with Saquon being like the power back, and then Shipley coming into that clear RB2 spot, especially drafting him in the 4th round, I think they're going to use the hell out of him, and he'll be really useful. They then got Alanius Smith, a wide receiver, which, you know, say what you want, they're pretty terrible at drafting wide receivers, but they just played A.J. Brown, and they don't really need him. And then they traded up to get Jeremiah Trotter Jr. in the 5th round, which, in my opinion, is one of the strongest moves, especially for the Eagles. His father, Pro Bowler, Hall of Famer, on the Eagles at linebacker, Jeremiah Trotter Sr. The GMs knew Jeremiah Trotter Jr. when he was 3 years old, raising him in the organization. His favorite team's the Eagles.
He was
value.
Shit.
He was projected a 1st-round draft pick before last season, then didn't have a great season. I think this is crazy value. He could be a stalwart for their defense. And then they got 2 more guards. Then Johnny Wilson at the end of the draft.
Yeah.
I mean,
steal.
Oh my God, this draft overall is insane. One thing I do want to say though, Eagles drafts always look good. So a lot of times they draft on the mock drafts. They take like the next best available according to Mel Kiper. So every year after the draft, this is becoming a thing with their GM Howie. Everyone's like, "Oh, Howie's a genius." A lot of these picks don't plan out. We saw it with Jalen Reagor when they picked him ahead of Justin Jefferson because he was the next highest available.
That was a couple
We've
years
seen it, N'Kobe Dean, what's he really done in the league. You've seen it with some of the guys they've let fall to them. And these are crazy value, haven't really done anything. So we'll obviously have to see how these picks play out. But after draft day, my favorite. And then the draft that a lot of people aren't really talking about, Ryan did mention this, Panthers, I think, killed it.
Yeah.
They just said, let's go. Like, let's lever up and
We
go.
got you,
We'll get
Bryce.
all the positions.
Highest upside
Not a lot
for
of
the
not a
draft.
lot of people are talking about this Panthers draft. I saw some pretty bad grades for them when I was reading about it.
Me too.
Traded into the first round to get Leggett, probably Bryce's wide receiver 1. I mean, in the next year, Deontay will be a wide receiver 1 now, but I mean, Leggett's the pure wide receiver 1, DK Metcalf frame type of guy. Got RB1 in the draft with Jonathan Brooks in the second round. They moved up to get him as well. They then got Trevin Wallace, the number 5 ranked linebacker from Kentucky, who was really good in the third round. Then got Jatavion Sanders from Texas to fill out their tight end position. Ended with corner, tackle, linebacker. They drafted all the positions they needed, and I think they did really well. Didn't reach on
they
anyone.
did good.
Great draft. Sucks that, they got Bryce Young, but
Yeah, I mean, they're doing everything they can to help Bryce
What's wrong
Young.
with Bryce Young?
he's a great
terrible.
quarterback. He's just, 5'8".
He's terrible.
I think he's very talented.
All right, Mike,
No,
who do you
I think
feel?
he's extremely talented. Just he's 5'8". Like, I mean,
How
he's
tall
not
is Drew
gonna be
Brees?
5'11".
5'4.5". No,
He's 5'11", 6 foot.
no, yeah. All right, Mike.
Well, keep the
Draft.
short to not
Keep it
sound
Bryce
too.
Young. Keep it Bryce Young.
Yeah, keep it Bryce Young size to not be too redundant. I think the Eagles easily won this draft. Like Ryan said, they filled out every need that they had. Yes, I kind of agree. Well, I think both of you said, but I think Tyler's right too in that it seemingly is always just the most notable name that's next up on the list that they'll grab, which, maybe I'm biased in my opinion of it because of that, because the names that they got are more notable to me. But, when you have a guy who's nicknamed the White Babe or the next Babe Ruth of football, I mean, Babe Ruth was a great player. And
You think you're mean Jackie Robinson, right?
yeah, wait, it wasn't Babe Ruth.
No, the joke was that Jackie.
Oh
Robinson
yeah,
was
no,
the first black
Jackie
football
Robinson
player,
and
My
yeah,
face.
No,
nervous.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's not-
no,
I was
Jack-
so confused.
No,
Jackie Robinson.
You tried. It's the effort that counts. A
Jackie
for effort.
Robinson.
A for effort. You're lucky I speak Michael.
Yeah.
You're lucky I speak
was
Michael.
able
What
to
was Babe
translate
Ruth's
that.
significance in baseball then? I mean, whatever. But yeah, I mean,
Hurry up.
Oh my god.
Get past
Jackie
this.
Robinson,
Eagles.
Eagles
Mario.
and Rams, and Rams.
Okay.
and Rams.
For no reason, I just ran.
Just Rams.
Well, I'll go into it, but that's the next question.
yeah, it is.
Yes.
Um,
Relax.
Yeah, I agree pretty much what everyone said. Those teams had very good drafts. A team I guess I want to mention that I think personally had a very good draft that no one's really talking about is the Ravens. I mean, I just think every year they've just they're similar, honestly, to the Steelers, where they're just like a well-oiled machine
do
the
it
way
right.
they draft. Like they just do it right. Like at the 30th pick, they get cornerback 1 or 2, depending on how you rate him. Like I thought Nate Wiggins was an absolute stud. Was surprised he fell that late.
So Sam,
Ravens defense in general is always just like
So
known to
good.
be like very good. They really know how to draft defensive players. Next round, tackle. They're pretty good at getting linemen as well. Third round, get an edge rusher. Fourth round, Tez Walker, who
Yeah.
I think was
They
a
needed
steal.
a wide receiver.
They needed
Yeah.
a wide receiver, and I think was a steal in the fourth round. Like I know he wasn't able to play the entire season last season, but I think he's an absolute stud. I think he has like wide receiver 1 potential.
Agreed.
And it's a big frame. Lamar Jackson's been thrown to Zay
Nobody's-
Flowers, Odell Beckham, Rashad Bateman.
Yeah.
They're all like 6 foot or under. Like, get this dude like someone he can throw the ball up to besides Mark Andrews. So, and has some speed who can stretch the field. And you mix that in with Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers. I just think it's like a very, very good pick in the fourth round.
yeah.
Then they go get the running back out of Marshall, Ali. I didn't watch too much Marshall, but actually I do remember
Tate
him.
did.
Big Marshall guy.
Sheen Ali.
I mean, crappy pick of the week. I was watching Marshall.
Yeah.
Dude, Tate knows. Tate knows Ali.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I watched I remember him for a few games. I watched some tape just to refresh myself. But Duve is actually he's pretty good. He's really shifty. And they just lost J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, so it doesn't hurt to ever get a running back, a position you need. and then they go, get a lineman at a center from Michigan State, and then a safety. I just thought it was just a very like good
Solid.
pick. Like they just went defense, lineman, and then like the two positions that they needed, wide receiver, running back, got those.
Yeah, no, the Ravens definitely drafted well. Mario, I want to go back to you and talk about just your team. You don't have to go a lot into it if you don't want, or you can talk for a while. How do you feel your team, the Saints, did overall? Then we'll talk Rams for Mike, Steelers for us. Then I guess Tate already mentioned the Colts had the best draft, but you can repeat it if you want.
I mean, we drafted with the 14th pick with no defenders off the board. We go the 6th best lineman
Sharp.
with 2 being drafted at the time.
Yep.
You got to protect your quarterback.
And I mean, we drafted Spencer Rattler. Like I fucking hate this.
What do you
draft.
think? What do you think about your pick in the second round, Kool-Aid?
Yeah.
I felt like that was a strong.
Yeah, I
move
don't know.
for the
I like
Saints.
I like
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
Good player.
Kool-Aid will be a good player. I think he fits like New Orleans.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
nasty.
He's like, you look at Kool-Aid McKinstry, that's who you want lining up in that, black and gold. But
Yeah.
I just can't get over Spencer Rattler. I haven't been able to think straight.
QB7 in the draft. You got your guy. I saw a post that said Saints got their guy, and it was just Spencer Rattler.
In the
It-
third
what's-
round, that's value.
For me, though, it's not like
In
a
what round?
bad pick.
Third round.
Fifth
No, I'm saying like
mid
fifth
But like, what are you
round.
losing? Mid-fifth round, you're
We're
getting-
losing team camaraderie. Just like any.
I don't think he's good, but I just think like
No, he's terrible. And he's also just a terrible person. Like,
I don't know.
nothing about him
Alright,
is
He's,
like.
he's a bad person.
Alright,
Did you see that they said
He's just
that,
an asshole.
Did you see that TV show, the Netflix show?
Sounding like me.
Well, no,
There's literally a TV series
the TV show. Do you hear
that
they
followed
said
him.
the GMs actually, after watching that show, refused to draft Spencer Rattler?
Yes.
They said that was an actual win from him from high school.
Saints said, that's our guy.
He has like this god complex and he's not good. It's like the worst combination.
Well, to be fair, it was him as a high schooler when
Going
he was
into
the
college.
when he was the number 1 ranked
I'd be a
player.
cocky shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
number one player too.
But he was an
16
asshole.
dang
He was a total.
But I
asshole.
wouldn't throw footballs at a kid like who's sitting on the
You
sideline
never
just to
know.
hurt him. Like I don't know.
I mean,
and then he went and what did he do in college?
Whole lot of nothing. He
Whole
did
lot
lose
of-
his starting job.
Every year was hyped. Oh, Spencer Rattler, this could be the year. Like maybe Heisman. Like no, dude's. I mean, you saw what he is in college. He's terrible.
Fifth round pick.
And he was my least favorite player. One of my least favorite players
You did
in
hate him,
college.
yeah.
I've always hated him. Always hated him. And then we draft him. Of course, my team.
All right, so you're not a fan of the Saints draft.
No, just move on.
Rams. Go ahead.
I'm overjoyed. I
Two
could
ends of the
not-
spectrum. is how we
Yeah,
like
I
it.
could not feel more opposite of Mario. Getting Jared Verse and then Brandon Fisk in our rounds 1 and 2 is insane. Trying to fill the gap.
You know who
of
could have had Jared Verse?
you?
This.
Yeah, but we got him, and I'm happy about it. And then, not only that, a little bit later down the line, I mean, this is pretty irrelevant, almost mystery relevant, but we got a kicker with a 68-yard field goal range or kicking range, which is
Who was it?
I don't remember his name, but he's a kicker out of Stanford, and he's insane. Like they literally threw up kicking highlights because he's that good.
KT Levinson.
Dude, yeah, this guy is the goat.
That's a guy.
Oh, wait, no, that's Igard. That's
It's
Igard.
Joshua Cardi.
Josh Cardi. Yeah,
Josh
the
Cardi.
number 1 overall kicker.
Dude, yeah, and then we also got
Nice.
That's a
we got
liker.
one of Tyler's boys, some
Tyler
Clemson
Davis,
guy,
he's a project, but he could be good. He's a freak.
and then yeah, and then in the later rounds we got one of my boys, Jordan Wayington.
Surprised you
Who,
didn't talk about Blake Corum in the third.
Blake
I thought
Cor-
that was one of your best picks.
Blake Corum is a pretty
That's
good
right
one. Honestly, I feel like Rams don't have much of a running identity, so it's.
Good to draft him.
Well, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's
Time to
probably
get-
good to draft him, but since Todd Gurley, I mean,
I mean,
that's not-
Kyron Williams was an absolute head last year.
Yeah,
Like the
that's
guy
true.
was
No,
a
that's
stud.
true. No, that's true.
They
That's
didn't
true.
have an running idea.
Well, I mean,
No,
they
that's true. No,
He
that's
had
true.
the most
No,
carries
that's true.
and
No,
touches
that's true.
per game.
No,
the
I'm-
whole like
I'm
second
kind
half
of taking
the
it back. Taking it back.
He didn't know they had Kyron Williams. But all I'm
Taking
saying,
it back.
You have to
Taking
watch
it back as I'm
football to
speaking.
know that.
no, but all I'm saying,
Taking it back as I'm
I
speaking.
love this pick
I don't
by
mind it, but
Blake
I'm saying,
Corum
like-
because I think they're gonna have to pay Kyron Williams a whole lot of money in whatever a year or two when his contract's up. I don't know how much.
if he has another good season.
Yeah.
He's a
And
freak.
getting Blake Corum as like refreshing the rookie deal contract with a top running back, I love this for the
I
Rams.
just can't. I can't stop thinking about Sean McVay. Just dude, that guy's always cooking.
Dude, he's so good.
Yeah.
He's just so good.
intelligent.
He's also such a cool guy.
He's always
Yeah.
He's just such a
scheming,
nice
and you're just
guy.
Like how could you?
No, he is a beast.
He's a cool guy.
He's a G.
But yeah, you would love the Rams draft. I love the Rams
I love
draft
the
too.
Rams.
Steelers draft as a whole. We already talked about the first pick. I wasn't stoked on it. I love the way we drafted a couple positions. Center in the second round, I liked. I liked that a
Desperate need.
lot. Third round, hated drafting Roman Wilson at wide receiver. Hated it. I don't think he's very good at all. But he was wide receiver 15th. He was wide receiver 1 on Michigan. They did win the championship, but I think we need a real playmaker, and I don't think he's that guy. He just seems like a filler wide receiver. So Steelers, this draft, I really wanted us to address that position. I don't feel we did that, so we're gonna have to do that elsewhere, or else they're just leaving the quarterbacks up to dry. Yeah. My favorite pick of our team in the entire draft is Peyton Wilson.
Yeah.
End of the third round. Yeah, he was linebacker 3 ranked. Luke Kuechly said that this is himself reincarnated. Peyton is, I watched Peyton
Quite a
Wilson.
statement.
I
love that.
I watched Peyton Wilson play a lot in college from NC State ACC team. He was a monster, dude. This dude is an absolute dog. He's going to fit in with his defense so well. Linebacker position is one we're always really strong at. I mean, this seems like a real gem Steelers pick that you'll look back on in 3 years and be like, wow, they got this guy in the third round, like huge steal. And then the rest of the draft we just kind of filled out random positions, but the first pick's really grown on me. I love the center. Huh?
Got Ryan Watts.
In the 6th round, we got
That's
a
our
Texas
starting
corner.
quarterback.
Yeah, he's never gonna play for us.
He was insane.
Play.
He was so good.
But yeah, I love how we did get a guard. We got a center that we needed, so we filled offensive line. Roman Wilson, not a fan, but it was a position pick, and then Peyton Wilson I love. So I'm above neutral. I'm okay on the Steelers draft. Good, okay.
Yeah, I think I'm just with the rest of the world where I think we nailed it. I mean, all the grades and everyone who looked at the Steelers draft, I think they were top 5 in everyone's grades of how they drafted for
people love it.
People loved it.
People like Roman Wilson.
People do love
I mean,
Roman Wilson.
so I obviously hate Michigan. I hate Roman Wilson, but take that out of it from my Steelers point of view. The guy never got to show his true talent, and when he did, he played very well.
Yeah.
He had J.J. McCarthy throwing 7 times a game.
10th overall pick.
Even if you are a good wide receiver, if you're only getting 3 targets a game, you are never going to be able to show your talent. I think he's more talented than what got to be shown. And I don't mind the pick. I think we need a wide receiver. I think we're going to get something in the offseason still.
We have to.
I think we're cooking something dirty up. I mean, Omar Khan's been putting in work.
Yes, I'm not
for
doubting him.
past
I'm
couple
just
years.
saying, go get someone.
I mean, I've been saying
pay for T.
There's one
pay
thing.
for T. Pay for
I said
T.
one thing for Steelers. If George Pickens is our wide receiver one going into the year, we're absolutely But I think this draft was perfect. I love protecting our team. I love protecting our future quarterbacks. I think our offensive line was already really good, as we did last year, where, again, we picked a first-rounder out of Georgia. So I just think that...
And Peyton Wilson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Peyton Wilson is, like you said, perfect fit. Nothing to it. It's just going to be one of those guys. It's kind of like Highsmith. We just,
I agree exactly.
It's just we got... No one talked about Highsmith. He comes in, and he's going to be... Highsmith's probably going to be a top 6
He's a Pro Bowler
player
now.
in his position.
He's a Pro Bowler.
A couple years. So I loved it. A+, loved it. Maybe could have got a bed wide receiver, in my opinion, but I think all around, great.
And I don't know, you already talked about the Colts, but now that they're your favorite team, you love the draft.
Oh no, I absolutely love the draft. I mean, I think they know they have what they want on offense now too, and I think just drafting this whole draft, they're like, okay, let's get some tackles, let's protect the quarterback, protect the team, and then just everyone, the rest of the team, just defense, and then you've got A.D. Mitchell and Anthony Gould, just those little supporting cast right in there. But of course, my boy Latu, I think. And I love defensive teams. Always have, always will. I mean, I played baseball forever. Coach always told me defense wins championships. I love good defensive teams, so I'm going to have a lot of fun watching the Colts this year.
Yeah, all right, Tate. Well, I'm staying with you here. One team only now this time. Mm-hmm. Who had the worst draft? You can just say the team. You don't have to elaborate, or you can elaborate on if you want. Worst draft.
Cowboys.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
You elaborate or just want to say the team? Done. Cowboys. All right, Ryan.
This is gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt because of what they got, but I'm gonna go Chargers.
Wow, they were my 4 for best draft.
Wow.
I think
Wow.
I think they had the worst fumbled first round pick of all time, and it will be wasted.
Care to
Joe Alt?
elaborate?
Yes, I think they should have traded back, and I don't think they should have picked Joe Alt at 5.
You think
Well,
Joe
I
Alt
think they
would have
could've
been
got-
there?
No, I think they
For-
could have got way more out of that pick than Joe Alt they would have got.
Wow, I could not disagree more. That's crazy.
I mean, how is he gonna he's gonna? I mean, we'll see what happens, but that team needs a lot more players, actual personnel on the team than just one player being picked in the first round, which they could have got a bag for the next 3 years
Wow.
for the 5th pick.
All right. Well, hey, that's why people all have different opinions. I love that. Just a side note, I love that pick for the Chargers. And it's kind of funny that we are on opposite sides of that because my worst draft team is the Denver Broncos. And I don't think it was close. I'm not going to say Falcons because the Falcons, I think, obviously, they overdid, but they were clearly on their own wavelength. Like, Falcons were doing their own
What
Falcons
did the
thing.
Broncos reach with? Or do
Well, I'm gonna explain it all in a sec. Also, side note on the Falcons. Speaking of reaching, my sleeper I said on the podcast projected end of the third round. Ruka. They selected 35th overall, third pick in the
Falcons,
second
right?
round. Falcons.
Oh, I might change my pick to the Falcons.
No,
Falcons
they
tied.
reached.
Falcons tied with the Chargers.
No, they reached on
All they
every
did
pick
was reach.
so successfully. It was the most insane. But that's why I said I can't say them. They reached so hard, I almost can't say it was
Falcons
bad.
and Chargers.
Because it's like maybe they, just moving. They just like doing shit. But all right, Denver Broncos. Break it down. I got like 10 notes on this. Bo Nix at 12 is a reach. Same reason I think it's a reach to get Penix at 8. Same reason I think it was a reach to get
But
JJ
after it
McCarthy at
was
10.
done.
I think in
No,
the
I'm
spot
just-
it wasn't a reach though.
Well, no,
After it was done.
no, I'm just looking at their draft as a whole. I get why they drafted him, but I'm just taking their whole draft together.
I'm saying, isn't it how bad their draft is because
No,
of
I'm
what
going.
happened in the draft?
I'm talking about every pick here too. I don't think Jonah Elias or whatever. Elias. Is that actually how you pronounce his name? Whatever it is. In the third round, I don't think is a good pick. He was like an average ranked edge rusher. I don't think it adds a whole lot to their team. And then they went up and got Troy Franklin, my least favorite receiver in the draft class, who had one of the worst combines I've ever seen. In the fourth round, strictly because they drafted and reached on Bo Nix, they went up and got Troy Franklin, a guy I don't think will be impactful. Then they drafted Estime, one of the worst combine tested running back we've seen in a long time. Like speed, everything. Like he tested terribly. I know we watched him. He was a bull. He's like a bull. He runs through people. But they already have signed for multiple years Javonte Williams and Samaje P running back. So like,
Devontae Williams is
Which
good,
they
too.
use to every single snap. All of them.
no, I know, but that's what I'm saying is like, I don't know what Estime gets you there. There's so many other positions you need. So I don't really see how Estime is going to play into this in a significant way, unless you're saying he's going to be a goal line fullback-esque running back, which, I don't know. I
Single
don't
down
see it.
back.
And you look at the rest of their draft board, they really didn't get anyone significant. I didn't see them this entire draft, not one pick looked at like value to me.
Yeah.
Every pick felt like a reach at every single round. And I was like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I already said I rationalized the Bo Nix pick, and I actually like it better than JJ McCarthy at 10. But JJ McCarthy at 10 balanced out to me with them going
Dallas
getting value
turned
with
17.
Dallas Turner at 17. So they're off the board. I already said the Falcons, they were doing whatever they were doing. That's probably the worst draft by far, not even close, but that's just so crazy out of left field. I can't even talk about it. Then the next team I look at is the Broncos. I'm just like, dude, I don't really see that many players here that are going to make an impact, and I don't think they did it in a good, solid fashion at all. So that's all I had to say there. It was
And
really,
they filled the positions well. They needed quarterback, they needed wide receiver, they needed linebacker, they needed, I think, one offensive lineman, and that's it. So
yeah. I mean, we'll see how it plays out. Mike, who's your least favorite?
So similar to Ty and Rye, where I think Falcons are definitely the number one, but we've already talked about it, so I'm gonna go with a different team to mention. No offense, Tate, but I think it's the Colts. The reason why is actually I think they wasted the value of where they drafted Liatu Latu. The reason I bring that up is because the Colts last year ranked third in the NFL for sacks by an edge rusher, right? So if we're looking at the defense as a total, their weakness, in my opinion, wasn't on the edge rushers, which they clearly used that number one slot to bolster. And I think if they wanted to help their defense, they should have gone with an interior defensive man like Byron Murphy, or
Oh,
get
that's-
or
I was wondering.
Or-
Mike, they have
no,
Mike,
or
they have
get
the-
Quinyon Mitchell, get cornerback, dude. Like
They have the
some-
best defensive interior person besides Chris Jones.
Well, Liatu Latu probably isn't even gonna start.
What? How
Well,
much
what
do you
are
want to
you
bet?
saying?
How much do you want to bet?
He's not interior. He's
you know
an
you
edge
have
rusher.
you have two edge rushers, by the way, and they were
Wait,
just,
wait. I must have misheard you then.
I said they have. You said they should have got interior defensive.
Oh, you
person.
said they-
and I said they
oh.
have the second
Yeah, I
or third
heard that.
best.
And you
in
also
the NFL
need-
in DeForest Buckner.
you need two. They run a 4-3 defense. You need two edge rushers at all times. They only have one, so that they got the best player in the draft on the edge.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I thought
Well, okay. So what
I
else
mean,
didn't
that-
you like about that pick? So you
So-
hated the Latu.
no,
Latu.
I genuinely hate that because based off of what they were statistically accomplishing last year, I felt like that wasn't a need of their defense, and so
And I suppose AD
because
Mitchell
of
was
that-
a terrible pick too. Yeah.
brother, I'm not trying to hate. I'm literally just giving my reason. So
Oh,
I could be
no, yeah.
I may be wrong. Very well, I could be wrong, and they may be just doing something that's better for their defensive scheme for going into next year. But based off what I saw statistically, I didn't think that's what they needed.
Was that
so
the-
that's my
so-
opinion.
So
I
you
don't-
think
I-
one
I
pick
said no.
decided the entire like
That's what I'm saying.
based
good or
off
bad
so
of their
it's the
whole
same
draft?
it's the same idea as the Falcons, right? It's like because of the wasted value they used in that one pick, yes,
I
I,
don't
do
know.
think that ruins the rest
Falcons
of their
also
draft.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know if you can compare those two. I mean, Latu was, ranked 12 on pre-draft boards. He was the number 2 ranked edge behind Dallas Turner. I think it's you could say it was a reach, right? But I mean, it's a marginal reach at best. Like if he's not getting picked at 15, probably go 16 or 17. Right? Penix at 8, he doesn't get picked at 8. I mean, Raiders might reach at
not
13 or
going-
whatever, but okay, but like you said, this pick they fumbled. They should have gone D tackle, not edge.
or something else.
Well, if they were really trying to bolster their defense, and that's what it seemed like their main priority was, or like first
corner.
priority was, right? So it's like go something else, literally anything else. Get Quinyon Mitchell, get
could've
Nate
used the
Wiggins,
corner.
get
Yeah.
I think there are other top tier positional players, and you have deeper needs in other positions than
Okay.
an edge rusher.
But
So
that
the-
was the big pick that
So
made
the
you-
one pick just
Yes.
ruined it for you.
Yes.
Okay, Mario.
I hate the Bills, so their draft sucked.
Okay.
No, I mean just them just continuing to trade out of the first round, and then they got Keon Coleman. He'll be all right, but I don't know. I just don't like the way they move. In any,
Oh, I hate it. It's the worst.
Every way they move, it just something about it just irks me. But the worst draft was the Falcons.
Yeah,
I hate the Falcons. The Falcons.
Yeah. No, I
Literally.
Easy.
I mean,
Don't do the promised land.
Falcons was brutal. But all right, last thing I want to ask: was there a team this year who, as a result of their draft picks, are now legitimate contenders, or it moves the needle so much to where they're the worst team in the league, and now they're like a playoff team could get lucky and make a run, or we're average, was a playoff team, and now can go win a Super Bowl because of the draft? Did you see that at any team? Maybe the answer is no. Mario, we'll just start with you and go around.
I mean, obviously the Commanders can Jaden Daniels. I mean,
Yeah.
that's got to be number one.
They gotta
I'll
be
exclude that.
they're Super
Yeah.
Bowl contenders now.
I'll
for
leave
sure.
that out.
No chance.
I mean, I just think it's hard because every year their draft looks good, but I really think it's probably the Eagles. Just they got 2 studs on defense in the first 2 picks.
Their defense was terrible
And
at the end of the year.
it
last
was
Their
terrible.
secondary, especially.
year. I mean,
Yeah.
cooked.
Yeah, I mean Bradbury was just getting cooked left and right.
Debo Samuel versus Bradbury.
No, I mean
like,
Debo Samuel told everyone that he was trash, and he got exposed last season.
They went and drafted 2 corners too. Like they straight up ended his career.
Yeah.
They were just like,
But yeah, I would say either the Eagles or maybe the Lions. The Lions just getting a
I
stud,
do like the Lions.
a stud corner in Terrion Arnold, who kind of fell to them at 24. But yeah, I would say the Eagles just because we know they have the capability to get to a Super Bowl, and they're going out of the NFC, the less competitive side of the NFL, so the less competitive conference. So they really just have to kind of compete against. Really, it's the Niners and then any other team that pops up in the mix for the year. But yeah, I think this gives them a huge edge. So I like the Eagles.
like that.
This is pretty biased, but I think the team that has the greatest improved chance of winning the Super Bowl is the Rams. Bro, I love it. I love our defense now, and especially, I mean, obviously we're losing one of the generationally greatest players of all time in Aaron Donald.
Whoa.
That's a fact. That is an undisputable fact.
It's
a
definitely
fact.
That is an
disputable.
undisputable
It's a
fact.
fact.
He is,
It is disputable.
he's the GOAT. But I think we did a really good job of kind of replacing the needs that he brings with him leaving. That's number one. Number two, our offense is already pretty dynamic as long as they could stay healthy.
Oh yeah, stud. You guys have an insane offense for next year.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And so, I mean, that's number 2. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. And thought broke out there. And then
Special teams.
yeah, special teams, special plays, special players.
Check.
But yeah, I mean Blake Corum adding to it. You're right. I don't know why I forgot about Kyron Williams, but having a second running back is fantastic. Obviously, a more like pure power back, just up the gut. And then, yeah, I mean, I love it. Also, adding a guy who can kick from 68 is just lit. So
It doesn't hurt.
Super Bowl contender.
Super
Love
Bowl
it.
contenders.
Bet
We
'em.
also
Big and large.
we have 7 playoff wins without a first round pick. We have 2 Super Bowl appearances without a first round pick. I mean, it's like, we finally got one. Let's
What
see
was,
what we can do.
whoa, back the train up.
Let's
What was the first Super Bowl appearance?
2019.
And who your quarterback for that team?
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff.
And what kind of pick was that?
We haven't had a pick in 8. We haven't had a first round pick in.
But that was your second Super Bowl
you,
appearance,
you-
right?
You said you've had 2 Super Bowl appearances without a first round pick.
Jared Goff was picked.
Jared
what?
Goff was.
Are you saying the season that you went to the Super Bowl? Because
Yeah. Like we didn't get we didn't have a first round pick that year though. The year that we went. in
because you traded
2019.
away.
Isn't the draft after? I guess
You know what I'm
I
saying?
just-
Like, yeah.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you.
Yeah,
I'll give it to you.
yeah,
I'll
come on
I'll
now.
feel generous.
Yeah.
All right.
No, you're,
Here comes preseason Tyler hot take time. The
They're
time
always great.
my favorite thing to do all preseason, where I just spew out hot takes that some of them come true and I look like a genius. So here's one. The answer is the
Flip
Patriots.
this.
The answer is the Patriots.
The answer for what? The worst?
No, it's the team. No, the team that like goes from completely irrelevant to like can be a playoff contender. And I know the division they're in. The safe answers like Lions, Eagles, all that. The Patriots defense is one of the best defenses in the NFL already. This is established. They didn't draft. I think they went. Yeah, they drafted 1 defensive player the entire draft at corner because they don't need anyone. Their defense is stacked. They went out and got the best quarterback in the draft, Drake May. I think he's ready to play right away. The second round, they traded up, got Jalen Polk. Say what you want. They tried to go get as many weapons for Drake May as possible. They then went and got another receiver, the guy Baker from UCF, who's like super hothead. He's talking a bunch, so who knows if that's good. And then sneaky, got Joe Milton as well, end of the draft. In case Drake May doesn't work out, they got Big Arm Joe for Hail Mary at the end of the game. Yeah. Well, we'll
Big
see.
Arm Joe.
I think Drake May's going to be a stud. So this is the team I think, I don't think CJ Stroud impact is impending. But if Drake May plays well, that defense is good enough to win games. And so I think you could see a big jump from the Patriots, being miserable, not even in any conversation, to playoff contention because of the draft.
Yeah, mine's pretty easy. Nothing, no sweat here. I'll probably be betting them to win the Super Bowl. I just think the Bears, pretty simply here. Last year, in my opinion, they won 7 games. I think if Fields stayed healthy, they could have won 9 or 10. He was looking better the second half of the year. I think they improved by every possible metric, if you could think of something, for this year. I mean, the offense got 1,000 times better with adding Keenan, a vet. You can call Roma Dunze. I wasn't a fan of it. Still an addition. And DeAndre Swift, who, I mean, everyone knows has unbelievable raw talent. Cole Kmet.
Did you say win the Super Bowl?
No, I'm going to be betting them to win the Super Bowl, but we're just talking about the team that has the best
Yeah.
flip to playoff opportunity. Caleb was the number 1 pick for a reason. I don't think he's going to have to do much. I think he's talented, crazy talented. And I also think a big thing has to do with this is the fact that they're in the NFC. You could sneak in the NFC with some crazy 8 to 10 win season. You
Yeah.
can have the lower end of that very easily.
Sure.
And if Justin Fields had 7 wins last year, or if the Bears had 7 wins last year and you improved, I mean, everywhere. And their defense towards the end of the year was top 10. Like, it got only better and better. All the young players, Jalen Johnson. I just think that, like, this is the team that's going to flip, as the best chance of flipping in the NFC. I mean, I think they can win like 10, 11 games and be something crazy. This is my personal opinion.
11 games would be a great season for Caleb. Tate,
I mean,
round us out here. Most improved team. Who can make a run?
I mean, as much as this does pain me, I think it is the Bears too. I mean, you got to realize that last year their defense was really good. Like their defense was really good
Well,
last
let's not
year.
talk about the season.
I don't know if I
No,
agree
the
with
line-
that.
They got,
I
they,
mean,
they
yeah,
got
they got
hot
the-
last
and they got players got
4
better.
or
Yeah.
5 games.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say
I wouldn't
overall,
say-
if
I
you look
wouldn't-
at their overall season ranks,
I wouldn't
They're
go
not
out
that
to
high
say
up, but-
their defense.
Well, I mean, they started getting it together.
yeah.
And they started playing really well together. And I mean, I don't like Caleb Williams at all, but the guy's talented. I mean, that's just hard to deny that. And if he's as good as everyone thinks he's gonna be, this is kind of like a win-win for me because if he sucks, it's a win for me because I hate him.
And
but
me.
if he,
Life
but-
hedge.
yeah, life hedge, right? But if he is great, then I look like a genius because I said the Bears are gonna be
Not a
better.
win-win for you.
No,
Win-win.
no, not a win-win. It's more of like a lose-win. Like a
normal
pretty
scenario.
standard
Any
scenario.
normal bet.
Yeah.
Normal scenario.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just
Win or
a
lose.
50%
No,
win, 50%
the Bears
lose.
makes sense. I mean, the Bears
Yeah.
definitely had
Makes
a
sense,
very, first picks.
With a
hard to
little
miss
with a
on.
little sprinkle on more than a 3-win Cardinal team next year.
I love.
I
that
like
was
the
my
Cardinals.
my
I like
sleeper.
that.
Sneaky
I like
good
that.
draft as
They
well.
had a-
Maserati.
If you just look at how many picks they had quickly, I don't want to get
Oh my
too
God.
into this.
I
How
can
many?
stop scrolling.
They had 1, 2,
17.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They had 12 12 draft picks.
Something's gotta help, you know what I mean?
I mean, they're
Yeah.
just taking shots. I love
would
it.
hope.
Also, Trey Benson, shout out, sneaky pick fantasy next year.
Sneaky.
But yeah, that was it. That was everything draft.
Wow.
Yeah, NFL
Electric.
draft happened. We just covered a whole lot of it.
We need football to come.
We'll
right
definitely
now.
be talking more draft.
Yeah,
Like as off-season moves happen, we talk NFL.
Yeah.
And guys,
It's our bread and butter.
it's the beginning of May.
It's our butter and bread.
You know what July is?
Mock
Ju-
draft.
July is when you start mock drafting.
Yep.
You know how many months are
Drafting
between
mock.
May and July?
Michael.
May and July, 1.
Well, May and June.
How is it?
May and June. It's 2
We
months.
have that on camera,
In
right?
between May and July, it's true.
Well, I meant like now, beginning of May till like when we start mock drafting. I think it makes sense because he wasn't listening to what I was saying before that.
Okay,
That's
fair
fair.
enough.
Classic
Fair enough.
Mike.
Oh, it's the 30th. Yeah, okay, you're right. No, fair enough.
Well, they'll be posting in May, but
Yeah, see, there you go.
Sure.
yeah, we're 2 months away from mock draft time, so football's coming. We're on the corner. Tate, before people log out, tell them
Yeah, you
what
tell
they
'em.
need to do.
Yeah, you tell 'em.
I mean, guys, if a football season does it ever really leave? We never really stop talking
No,
about
it
it.
doesn't
We love
leave.
it. You love it. Stay tuned for the content. Give us a like, comment, subscribe, share the channel with a friend, and turn that notification bell on because we're gonna be pumping out content.
Every week.
We'll see you guys next week.
Tate knows all about
Go
pumps.
Steelers.
T. Higgins.
Bang! Pump a dump.